And we're live.
I'm just running out of juice.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Well, so I'll let
What?
you share, do
Something
whatever you got
happened?
to do, then we'll
Ugh.
have a done. I just shared as well. Faster than you did.
Of course you did.
Oh God.
I'm done.
You're done? All right. Let's go
Yeah.
ahead and roll that footage and get it going.
Not quite
Ready?
as fast, but still equally as accomplished.
As long as it's
Yeah.
shared, that's all that matters. Ready? Let's do it.
Shut up and sit down.
Thinking about what just happened, hearing the gunshot just feels a little off, but that's okay. We had it first,
Oh,
so we had it first. But anyways, I digress.
yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dope and
Freaks
Dharma.
don't own.
Yeah. Well, like I said, welcome to Dope and Dharma. This is, of course, the Dharma Time Hour, and he is the one and only Dope Doctor, and I am the Dharma guy. What is up?
Hola.
Yeah. I feel like we've got a delay, so if
I'm
it
freezing
sounds
in my house
weird,
today, man.
yeah. Well, we haven't figured out this delay. There's like a 2 or 3 second delay. So if you guys are hearing us sound off, that's probably what it is. It must be nice that you're cold because it is like 90 something degrees and it is brutal for me. Not in my house, but still.
I'm freezing. I'm freezing. I don't know
So,
what Dana did to the air conditioner, man. But I am freezing.
yeah, I don't know. My wife actually has recently discovered being hot. Um, and so she is like all about turning AC on and things of that nature, which is funny because for years she wasn't, and she would always give me hell for it. And I'm like, oh, welcome to the dark side. Yeah, you're hot all the time now, huh? It sucks. She's like, yeah, it's so hot. I was like, yeah, that's what I've
Mm-mm.
been living for years. Anyways, so let's talk, right? So you
All
and I
right.
haven't really talked yet about what's going on and what the show is going to be about. Um, I was trying to come up with a topic, and my mind just kept coming back to the recent events and collectively just where we're at. Everything I turn on the TV, every time I look on social media, every conversation I get in with somebody, it all revolves around like stress, right? Like stuff, things are happening. Very few people right now are just like super just chill, disconnected, and living their life. Most people I interact with
Yeah.
are stressed out about something, they're worried about something, they got an opinion on something. And so, like, I just wanted to talk, man. Like, where are we at? What's going on? Um, for those of you who aren't aware, and for those of you who maybe live in another country listening to this or watching this, well, first off, let me do the the spiel here. You can watch us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you look up Dope and Dharma, you can listen to us on any of your podcasting platforms, whichever one you so choose. However, if you want to participate live and either comment or be, responded to, you have to do one of those 3 platforms live, and we'll address your thoughts and concerns. So, anyways, as I said, for those of you who are maybe unaware, or if you're living in another country, kind of just doing your thing, and you're not aware of what's happening over here, July 4th was on Monday, and we celebrated our Independence Day as a country. And during that time, in part was it Highland, Illinois.
Yep.
It's a relatively affluent neighborhood. They were there doing their thing, having a parade to celebrate the 4th of July. And a guy,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say his name, but he got up and decided to open fire on the crowd. Ended up killing, I believe it was 7 now, and injuring roughly 30, give or take. I'm sure that number is going to change as time progresses. Today he was apprehended the same day. Today he had his arraignment, and some more details have started coming out. Um, but that's sparked obviously more conversation about guns and gun violence. People were already talking about the Roe v. Wade and abortion and stuff. Politics are never far from people's minds in this country, it seems lately. It's just, man, like I just it's hard for me to watch some of this because I really have a hard time wrapping my head around why we all can't just be nice to each other. You know what I mean? I'm not saying we have to agree. I'm not saying that we have to get along in like the brotherly love kind of way, but it's astonishing to me that as smart as we all are and as advanced as we all are as a society, we're really not. You know, we kind of just we
Right.
still fight. We still just like we're a warring species apparently, and we can't seem to let that go. Um, and I watch like these politicians get out, and I see them speak out of both sides of their mouth. You know, on one hand, there's one particular, I think she's a mayor. I'm not going to mention her name either because I'm trying not to make this a political show, even though I'm positive politics are going to come into play. But I'm going to try to walk that line the best I can. But there's a mayor, he came out when the Roe v. Wade came, and she was basically, just cussing out one of the Supreme Court justices. But then today was saying, hey, we got to learn to listen to each other. But it's like, well, but you weren't doing that literally just like 2-3 days ago. So it's like, it's difficult to watch, man. It seems like the good old days, the things that I was raised with, which is being kind to somebody. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Like, allowing people to kind of live their life or whatever. Like those days are gone right now. I'm hoping they come back. I'm hoping it's not a permanent thing, but like we associate things together that there's a video going around right now, like on the news stations and stuff where I guess people were saying that they didn't feel safe when they saw like American flags and like, because to them, American flag means like, racist white people who are going to hurt them, which it's not my experience. I don't know if that's everybody's experience. I mean, I think that many people who hurt others don't have American flag. I mean, if you look at the violence in this country, how many of them had a flag? Almost none of them, right? Like, so this association that they're having, where is that coming from? I mean, I know obviously the media is pushing certain things, but it's weird that the
Right.
media is able to almost supersede what our day-to-day lives are, right? Because most people I know, if they look objectively at their life right now, it's kind of pretty good, right? Like, you're if you're watching this, you got a roof over your head, you got internet, you're like, you're doing okay. Like, are you where you want to be? No. Can life
Right.
always get better? Of course,
Mm.
but you're most likely not destitute. You're not living on the streets, begging for change. You're not on your deathbed right now. Like, for all intents and purposes, if you had gratitude, if you looked at it from a perspective of gratitude alone, there's a lot to be thankful for a lot of people. And yet
Right.
we seem to have moved very, very far from gratitude. We seem to really only focus on the things that we don't like, the things we disagree on, or the things that are not making us happy. Like, what do you think? Why do you think that is, man? Like, what do you think's spurring that? What do you think the root cause of all that is?
Well, I think the root cause is pretty complicated. Um, we obviously know a lot of people are in pain. I think that we're a lot less skilled on how to deal with whatever pain everybody's experiencing, but I don't think it helps when the powers that be stir it up a little bit. And I think that's what we have going on right now that's different than our childhood.
Right.
I think all the same problems existed in our childhood, but I think the difference was that the adults controlled the room. They owned the room. So even if
Right.
we wanted to say something, they would squash it, right? So whether they were right or wrong, they controlled the narratives, and there was very limited narratives. I mean, we still had the Crips and Bloods still existed. They still hated each other, but you were still getting, I don't know, maybe a truth. And I think now everybody thinks they're getting truth. For instance, you know, if we keep telling people that this other type of person hates you and they don't like you, and you're justified, and then you have your leadership saying you're justified for not liking them, you're justified for hating on them, you're justified for calling them whatever, you're justified for disrespecting them. That doesn't help the situation. And then, I was at, a beautiful beach. We had a great little time for 4th of July. But even in that little bit of time that we were there was a car that was passing by. And so here's one group in a car that had mixed people in there, some white, some black. Then there was a group of people standing outside of the car, in the large crowd that were mixed, some white, some black. And yet, when this car was going by, one of the white kids was calling his other friends, and we could clear him say, hey, Nico. What I mean? He's calling one of his friends. His friend is obviously named Nico or nicknamed Nico. The girl out of the car, though, had a fit, man. She basically, her head came out of the car. She accused him of saying the N-word, accused him of being a racist, just started berating, and nobody knew what was talked about. Everybody was like looking around like, who was it? Let's all condemn this person. Who was it? So everybody's
Right.
looking for like, how dare somebody do that to you? You know what I mean? Because even the guy that said it, I guess, never even thought, wait, you're talking about what I said? You mean you think I said that? So finally, after she just kept going on, and the traffic's going slow enough that she's not moving very fast, and there's like hundreds of people listening, and everybody's looking around like, who must have done it? Finally, I guess it came into his head. He goes, oh, wait, Nico? Oh. So then he started joking, like, okay, bye, Nico. Bye, Nico. You know what I mean? And then he's joking, even though he's in a mixed company. And so even the black guy that he's with is like, hey, you heard it all wrong. You just keep it moving. It didn't end. This person really thought that she was in a crowd of racists and she got called the N-word. And she believed it. I mean, there was no communicating with her the way she was yelling. And I feel for
Right.
her because I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, you are so on edge right now, and you think you're hated, and you think that all these people, because their white faces are mixed in, that even though they're with mixed people, even though some of us are Latinos, some of us are black, even though we're all here, you're focused on that you must be a victim in what just happened, and you didn't even for one time thought maybe you misunderstood and maybe you didn't hear it correctly. And I feel for that, man. And that's our fault as adults, because she's a young girl. That's our faults as adults, our faults as a community, that we have now put young people in a situation to believe that they're hated, to believe that they're not liked, to believe that there's more people than there are that think of them in that manner. Now, is that saying that there's not people that think things like that and say things like that? No, we know that there are,
Of
but
course.
it's not to the extent of the narratives that's being pushed. You know what I'm saying? And like what you said about the American flag, it's horrible to hear something like that, to hear that people don't even know the story of Independence Day. They don't even understand the abolitionist movement. They don't even know that whatever the forefathers did, it's what they wrote that was different than the way they lived even. They had no template.
Right.
There was no template of what they did. You got to, it's easy to have all these thoughts and feelings based on, you now have all of the story. Well, they didn't. They were actually leaving
Yeah.
persecution. They were leaving from governments that were like not allowing them to be who they were, that were not appreciating them, not accepting them, not allowing them to praise who they wanted to praise, or to speak the way they want to speak, or be educated in the way that they wanted to be educated. I mean, they were just, they felt like they were leaving an injustice and creating an opportunity for all types of people. Were they perfect? No, but what they wrote is what we celebrate. We celebrate the fact that they broke off from there. Now, are those people all of our what do you call it? Founding fathers? No, but they're the country's founding father. And we enjoy a lot of freedoms for being in this country, including the freedom to be so frustrated and angry about stuff like that, and yet go home and feel relatively safe, and that there's not people out there, the government's coming to take over your property, take over your land, or shut you up. I mean, I think that's a pretty good little freedom that we don't think about, But again, if you ask me what the root cause is, I know that was a long answer, but the root cause, I think, is the adults in the room are not being adults in the room. I think that we're being crappy adults.
Yeah. I mean, I of course agree with that. I mean, and I also agree that it's complicated. I think it's a multifaceted thing. Um, it's
Oh,
just really sad, man. Like, it does. It makes me really sad when I look around and I just see kind of where we're at, right? As a human, like, in not specifically only in this country, because I see other countries struggling with very similar things right now. I see a lot of like wars and
right.
protests and happening, all across. So it's not just a United States thing. Obviously, that's where I'm more well versed because I live here. But I don't know, man. I look around and I see on like even on social media, like people are just always looking for a fight. about stuff. Like, even if you're trying to compliment somebody, if you're trying to like be there for somebody, if they're in not the best state of mind, or if they already have a bias, they're gonna read what you wrote in a fighting manner, and you'll find yourself in a fight when you were literally just trying to be nice to somebody, like you were trying to give a compliment, or you were trying to give
Right.
sage advice, or whatever it might be. But because that person or another person reading it read it wrong, or had their own biases when they looked at it, they're going to run with it. Next thing you know, you're in a fight with like six, like it happened to me actually not too long ago. There was I
Hmm.
don't even remember it now. It was one of my friends I went to school with. He made a comment on one of his Facebook things, and I commented on him as somebody I'd known for over 20 years, and just made a comment. And then two of his friends chimed in and started fighting with me because they didn't realize the inside joke there, or they didn't see, they took it, ran
Hmm.
with it their own way. And if they and the weird part is,
Yeah.
I knew them too. Like, I went to school with them as well. Now, granted, I didn't know them as well, but there was no benefit of the doubt. There was no like, well, hey, they're obviously friends, so maybe I'm misreading that or whatever. Because why would he be friends with somebody like that? Like, there was no benefit of the doubt. It was just immediate judgment and immediate fight, immediate. I'm going to get at you, and it kind of makes me sad, and I think that the other thing that I pops in my head is what you always say, and I, I kind of felt that way when I was younger as well. That whole like, you got to give me respect to get it. Like, we are, man. We're in this weird kind of state right now where we don't feel like we want you to respect our rights. We want you to treat us with love and respect and dignity, but it's like we're waiting for you to do it first. Like, we're very reactionary,
Right.
right? Like, I watch it with my own kids. I tell
Hmm.
my own kid, my daughter. So I'll make this as brief as I can, but to illustrate my point. Um, so my daughter would play before with her sister and some of her other friends. They would play online. There was a bunch of girls, and my son would try to play. And he was the younger brother, and he would try to come play, and they were having no part of it. They were like kind of being mean to him, kind of like they wanted to play a certain kind of way, which wasn't the same way he wanted to play. Even though they're playing the same thing, you know what I mean? But he's a boy. He was a little bit more aggressive. He wanted to be a little bit more destructive, and all the things that they were doing. It was an online game, but regardless, um, they just didn't like the way he was playing, and he didn't really want to adjust to their way of playing. So they got mad, and they would like kind of bully him in a sense, but not like severe bullying, but just little things to antagonize him. And then she ended up kicking him out of his room, or whatever. And I kept telling him, like, you guys got to get along, man. That's your brother. You can't just be mean to him. You can't, you guys got to work this out. Fast forward a couple of years, her sister has moved out because she's grown, and some of her other friends are not available, or they don't play the game anymore. So my son, in that amount of time, learned how to play his own game. He got into Fortnite. He made his own friends, so he's got his own little clique now. So he's doing fine. But my daughter, on the other hand, doesn't have access to those people anymore. So of course she's going to want to play with him, and so she's trying to get into his little group,
Hmm.
and they're being like rude, or they're not wanting her to play. Like, literally the exact same scenario that she put him through. And she comes to me and she's upset. She's like, well, they're doing this, they're doing that. And I was like, look, baby, like, this is part of the reason why I was telling you back in the day, like, you don't treat him this way. Because as I've always said, it's always fun until the rabbit has the gun, right? Like, it's always fun as long as you're on the winning team. If you're not on the winning team, suddenly it's not so fun anymore. And so you got to be cognizant of that, of how you treat people, even when you're in the majority.
Yeah.
Because you might not be in the majority. Well, I guarantee you're not in the majority of all things. It's just
Yeah.
convenient right now that the specific thing that you're focused on, you're in the majority maybe, but that could change within the minute. Something new can pop up, and you're suddenly not in the majority anymore. And if you've already established a precedence on how we're going to treat people who are in the minority, you might not be very happy with that. And
Right.
and so, like, I try to tell my son to do the right thing, as far as if his friends are being mean or whatever to his sister, that's still your sister. Like, you still, hey guys, like, cut it out. Now, I'm not going to
Right.
micromanage who they play with. I'm not going to make them play with her. If they don't want to play with her, then they don't have to. Like, I'm not going to force that.
Yeah.
But you are going to treat her well. Like, you're not going to bully her and be mean to her. But I try to tell my daughter, like, I can't make them play with you. Like, you guys got to work this out somehow. And one of the things I was trying to explain to him was, like, they have two completely different styles, and it never occurred to them to look at it that way. Like, my son is a boy, and he's very aggressive, and it's like a Fortnite thing. So you're playing against other players. He's all about just running in, guns blazing, and trying to 1v1 everybody, and you win some, you lose some. My daughter doesn't have that same confidence level that he has because she hasn't been doing it for so long. So my daughter actually adapted and did something really smart. She hid in this little like room and let everybody kind of kill each other until she came out and it was just a one-on-one and she won the whole thing. But it upset
Oh,
my son and his friends because they felt like they were carrying somebody, like, you're not out there with us doing this. And I said, look, you both have to understand that neither one of you are right. Like, she doesn't have the skill set you have. So instead of going out there and getting, killed the whole time, it's not fun for her. So she adapted. She played with what she has. And you like, instead of getting mad at her, if you guys work together as a team, then you guys could do something with that. But to me, it's just a microcosm, right? It's just indicative of where we're at. Nobody really wants to take time to respect and understand that that person that you're talking to right now, that person who disagrees with you, that you're so vehemently opposed to, that you're saying doesn't respect you and in some cases doesn't even deserve to live, they feel the same dedication to where they're coming from as you do to yours. And neither one of you are any more right than the other one as far as how you feel about it. I'm not talking about the factual information because let's be honest, 90% of what we all argue and fight about right now is not factual. If it's provable fact, we're all pretty
hmm.
good at that. It's the opinion. It's how we interpret that fact is what we argue on. And which is weird because that's the most subjective thing and we are all aware of it. We all know that your opinion is based upon your life experience and what you've been through. And so for us to completely invalidate somebody else's perspective but want them to respect ours, like, when did that make sense? Like, I don't understand. When did we cross that barrier to where it became, in order for me to treat you with basic human decency, I need you to give me something first? Like, I don't know when that happened. Do you, like, can you remember a time when that just started to shift?
No, like I say, I just know that we were not happy about the way adults treated us when we were younger. We felt like we had a
Right.
voice, and in the world, it was not allowed. Kids were to be seen and not heard, and we fought against that. And we were also told you had to wear your hair a certain way. You couldn't have tattoos. You
Yeah.
had to wear these kind of clothes. This is the way everything had rules and regulations, and we felt like, nah, man, we're not going to do that. And so now that's always been that way. Young people have always
Right.
struggled with authority. That is a norm. I mean, you can go
Sure. You're
back, go
supposed
back,
to.
go back. Remember, jazz was the devil's music, and then all of a sudden it became
Yeah.
like sophisticated when you're older. But when they were kids, jazz was the devil's music. It was horrible, you
Yep.
know. Um, so I don't necessarily know that it shifted more than Trinity. It's us that have shifted. We've now gotten
Right.
older. We're now in that older group where a lot of the things that you and I may have fought against at certain ages, we now understand differently.
Right.
Now we color it a little bit differently, so it seems like a shift has happened, and maybe a slight shift has happened. But do I think it's a major shift? No, I think back in the day when the hippies were doing what the hippies were doing, the parents thought the same thing. These people are kooks. What the hell are they doing? Now the only difference was I think that there was the young people were not volatile then. Remember, Woodstock happened with such little violence, little to
Yeah.
no violence,
Well,
and then
that
when
to
we
me is
try to
part of the shift.
replicate it,
That's what I
right?
mean.
We
Part
try
of
to
the shift.
replicate it, it couldn't happen.
We're killing people
You
left.
know,
I mean, the guy just killed 7 people.
yeah. Yeah, and that is the shift I don't understand. That young people are much more volatile. You might have a point out of here, but as soon as you speak it the way you speak it, and you physically act upon it the way you want to act upon it, that's when it makes you wrong. Um, and that's why you hear me say a lot. The same people that I always depended on being loving and caring and compassionate, those are now the most hateful people I think walking, this country. The people that I've loving people. You are not loving and compassionate right now. You're actually out there. If you don't agree with somebody, you automatically, reach into your political bag and you throw names at them regarding who you think their government leader is that they're following or how they're acting upon that. But you're not being loving. There's nothing loving and kind about any group right now. At all, actually. I don't
Yeah,
think right now we have a compassionate group.
I
Whereas
agree with that.
before I would have thought, we did have the peace and love, give peace a chance. I mean, there was a defined, here's the people causing war and chaos, and these are the people saying we don't want to go to war and chaos. We don't want to go die in Vietnam. There was this big line. You know what I mean? But now, the same people thinking they're like, they'll say inclusion, but what they mean is accept me, but I don't need to accept you. When they say, equality, what they mean is I want everything you have. And I think the way you got it was wrong. The way you got it was you stole it, or you were given it. You didn't earn jack, so I should get it. It's like a weird way that we're communicating, So I don't think we know what we're fighting for, to be honest. Like, what are we really, really fighting for? Do you all just need a hug? Because
it feels very lizard brain.
That's what it seems like, right? It just doesn't. There's no defined to get to. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to fight for something that was already fought for. If you were to listen to the real reason we have Independence Day, you would not be saying some of the ridiculous stuff you're saying about Independence Day. You just clearly don't know what Independence Day is. You just don't.
Yeah,
it's little things like that. I think we don't know history. Like history is like nobody's believing history books anymore. Everything is like, oh no, man, that's a lie. That's his story. It's not a real story.
Yeah, like I said, it feels very reactionary. It feels very lizard brain, right? Like there was a thing that I screenshotted this right before we went on. I don't know where this is going to lead. Once again, guys, for those of you listening live, we just wanted to talk about this today. So we didn't have anything like set. We felt the need to, there's a lot happening. We want to address it. So prior to going on, I saw this post that somebody said that I'm going to teach these to my son, right? Now I'm just repeating what was said. One could argue that this should be taught to, boys and girls, but the post itself was just saying, it was a woman who I think that she was, in her own way, I think she was trying to help, but it's definitely coming off as in the judgment of what men are and things of that nature. But either way, I read it and it was interesting, and I wanted to kind of bring it on here and see what we thought about it. So it was basically rules that she's going to give her boy like razor with, right? And as I was reading it, I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, like I agree with most of these, not all of them. But the weird part was, number one, I found myself asking, do we still do this? Are these still values that we hold? Number two, I thought was weird because as I was reading it, I was in my head, I was instantly thinking how this is going to be interpreted, when certain words were used, like boy, girl, things of that nature. Like I couldn't even read it at face value and see the message at first without doing the political filter, which I thought was weird. Like we're so conditioned right now to immediately think political like first, as opposed to message first and then political. We think political first, which I thought was interesting. I mean, I still got the message, of course, but I just thought it was interesting that it even occurred to me at all, right? Like where we're at right now. Anyways, so these are some basic rules, right? And like I said, majority of them I think I agree with, and I was kind of raised the same, but I don't know if we still hold these things true. Number one, it says never shake a man's hand sitting down. Right. So the idea there is, out of respect, if you're going to shake somebody's hand, you get up. Now, granted, if you're, see, once again, with the political correctness stuff, if you're disabled, if you're hurt, we're not talking to you. We're talking about two normal, average, able-bodied people. When you shake somebody's hand, it's a sign of respect. It's a sign of, I'm going to get up. I'm going to, I don't know how to explain it other than it's a sign of respect. Why it's a sign of respect, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm standing and you're going to stand to meet me at my level and we're going to converse. Maybe that's what's behind it, but it just makes sense to me, right? Does it make sense to you?
No, it 100% makes sense to me. As a matter of fact, when I met Dana's dad when I was a little kid, I was 20, she was 19 when we first started dating, and her mom still tells the story to this day that when I would leave, the dad would be like, man, is he always going to shake my hand when he comes in? Because he was a big man. He was a large man. And every time I would come, I'd go to shake his hand. So he had to stand up. He didn't, he was raised that way. So if I'm going to shake his hand, he's not going to shake my hand sitting down. So he would always get his big old butt up, shake my hand, and sit back down. And I guess that was his big thing. Man, do I have to, what he was really saying is, do I always have to stand up when he comes? He really didn't mean, does he always have to shake my hand?
Sure.
but because it came with standing, he'd be like, "Do I always have to stand up when this young man comes and picks up my daughter?" And so that's what I immediately thought about with that. It's like
Yeah,
I personally agree. I think that
I agree as
there's
well.
certain things that are
But
just
to
a
me, it's
sign of
about a
respect,
respect.
and
Yeah.
we don't look at them the same way. Yeah.
So number two, there's quite a few, so I don't know if we can go into detail each one of them. Some of them might just fire off, but number two,
Why not?
don't
Why
enter.
not?
Well, who knows? Don't enter a pool by the stairs. I get that. I mean, now that I'm older, or actually, no, even still, I understand. Like my mother wants to enter the pool by the stairs, but I understand the sentiment here. The sentiment is you're in a pool, have fun, like jump in, like live your life. Like I think that's the sentiment. I think that's what they're getting at. Obviously, if you are older or if you're in a situation where you struggle getting in, like we get that. But I think the idea that this is trying to get across is don't lose that fun loving side of yourself. Don't lose that the little kid inside that just
Mhm.
jumps in a pool, right? Like that's how I took it.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think I ever
Next
heard that.
one.
So that's and if I did, I
I
don't know anything about it.
I've never heard that rule either. I'm just reading off
I
of
like
here.
I like the way you did it. Yeah, I
Sure.
agree with you.
Number three, the man at the barbecue grill is the closest thing to a king. Well, I get that because he's in charge of your food. So yeah, be nice to the person who's touching your food. I think that's a pretty safe rule to
Yeah,
live by. What do you think?
that that's similar to he who drives chooses the station, right?
Yeah,
That's the way I
yeah,
look at it. Like if I'm controlling the
yeah.
food, then you know you eat what you eat. Stop talking. I'll cook it the way I cook it. I don't care how you want it. I don't care what flavor you want it. I don't care what temperature you want. I don't check temperature. You'll get it the way I give it to you. And I think it's the same way that if you're driving, driving, you stop when you stop. You get gas when you get
Yep.
gas. You put the station on that you want. I think that's the norm.
And for me, what all
That's an
these
old
have in
standard.
common, what these all have in common for me is a sense of respect and principles. Is what it feels like as I've read this list. So,
Right.
anyways, number
Right.
four is in a negotiation and never make the first offer. I think that's
Mm.
I get it. Oh my god, I can't think of the word now. When they offer you oh my god, I'm having a brain fart. What's it called when somebody gives an offer and you come back with one? My brain is not working right now.
uh, oh, wait, a counteroffer?
There we go. Thank you. Jesus
That's what I would
Christ, I
call
couldn't
it.
think of that. Yeah. So yeah, it's always best to make a counteroffer, right? Because you never know where the other person's coming from. You don't want to come in too high or too low. So it's a safe bet to try to not make the
Right.
first offer. Now, granted, that's not always going to be possible, but it's a good rule of thumb is to
Yeah.
never make the first offer. Next
I
one is
personally like to throw it out there. I always throw something out there real quick.
yeah,
Let's get it because let's get it popping quick. Because if you ask somebody, like for instance, when I hire somebody and we're doing interviews and we're like, so and one of my partners will go, "So paid." I'm thinking they're never going to answer. Here, they're always going to say, "Well, I don't know, whatever you think." But what they really mean is, I don't want to accidentally cheat myself, but I'm not going to like what you offer
yeah,
me because then I joke with them. I says, "You act like you don't care, you don't know your value. Then I'm going to give you a number, and then you're going to all of a sudden know your value real quick. You're
right,
going to be like, no, I don't like that.
yeah,
I throw it out
absolutely,
there. Let's have a conversation about it.
yeah, absolutely. Next one is request the late checkout. I think that's a good rule of thumb, man. You're on vacation, you're leaving, request. You're not going to want to have to get up early. Give yourself that extra time, even if you don't use it. Give yourself that extra time. I agree with that. That to me just seems like a responsible forethought type of thing to do.
I think it's I'm going to go like you did on that other one. And I think that's just saying, take it easy. Don't, when on vacation or when out, embrace it a little bit more. Don't be on such a schedule. Don't try to rush
Yeah,
out of it. These moments don't last. So embrace it.
yeah, I agree. Next one, number six. When entrusted with a secret, keep it. I gotta agree with that. Obviously, unless of course that secret's gonna hurt somebody or whatever. But I agree, man. If you're told something in confidence, keep your mouth shut, man. It's all about trust. Once again,
Yeah.
if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm gonna go murder my neighbor," I might say something, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about we all know what we're talking about. We all know that somebody because my kids, right? My kids will come to me. My daughter went through this. My daughter told one of her friends that she had a crush on some kid. Next thing you know, her friend is telling other people. And she said, "Oh, I thought she was my friend." It's like, baby, she is your friend, but you got to understand, when you told her that, she also has a friend. And so she only told that friend. And so everybody's got at least that one other friend. And next thing you know, it makes its way around.
Right. Exactly.
And that's why you got to be careful who you say certain things to. However, if you're the person being told something, keep it to yourself. If the person tells you, "Hey,
Right.
I really prefer for this not to get out," part of the principle there is to keep it to yourself. You agree?
More importantly than just keep it to yourself, it's like if you don't want a secret, your secret can only be shared if you shared your secret. That's it. You're the one that shared your secret.
Yeah.
You're the one that should have kept your mouth shut.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
you see this a lot with like rookie criminals, man. When they do something wrong, they get in trouble for it. They go, "Oh, that person snitched on me. That person ratted me out." No, you chose to do your activity with that person, thinking that they weren't going to do that. That's your misread. You should have known that
Yeah.
dude's going to red out. That's going to happen. If you're going to commit a wrongdoing, do it alone or risk being caught. Because
Yeah.
now you're rolling the dice, but you're also making them roll the dice. Now, one thing is me choosing to roll my dice, and I don't crap out. But then every person that knows I did that, I got to give them a pair of dice as well. And if they crap out, then it comes back to me. The odds of me getting caught
Yeah.
go up significantly.
Yes.
So no, keep your own secret, shut the hell up, and that's it.
Number 7, hold your heroes to a higher standard. Yeah, I get that. I think what they're referring to are the people who are in the spotlight, who are given accolades. You hold them to a higher standard. Do I hold? I'm trying to, because the old saying, "Never meet your heroes," because they let you down.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah, I've heard that story. Like, so I'm torn. I'm conflicted on this one. I would say I agree with hold your heroes to a higher standard, but don't be devastated if they let you down. I would add that to it, because at the end of the day, they are still just people, and we're all people. We all have failures. Go ahead.
I'm struggling with that one a little bit, to be honest with you.
Same.
I think
Yeah, same here.
I think I'm hearing it more this way. I'm hearing it like, if you're going to call somebody a hero, they better damn well be one. I think we misuse the word a lot. I think we call a lot of people heroes that really aren't your heroes. You know what I mean? So
Right.
if you're going to use the word hero, they better be way up there on your standards list. But I don't like to put somebody on a pedestal. I would
Yeah, I
almost
agree.
change it to let them be a hero for what they're a hero for, but don't expect them to be a hero for all things. In other words, someone can be your mentor in finances, but that doesn't mean they're your mentor in relationships. Somebody can be
Yeah.
your mentor in relationships, but that doesn't mean they're your financial advisor. You know what I mean? Let them be who they are for the
Exactly.
lane
Yeah.
that you chose them to be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. All right, I moved it to my computer so I can read it better. Next
All right.
one is well, first let me say that, like, as an example, right? Um, so the first thing that popped in my head, once again, we're just going to spitball it here. When I heard hold your heroes to a higher standard, I've always
Uh-huh.
said, like, for our police officers, I've had a problem with the way some of them handle de-escalation of situations, right? Not all of them, of
Mm-hmm.
course. I think the vast majority of cops are great. But when I have had a comment on them, I've got law enforcement friends who would immediately justify their behavior by saying, "Hey, it's a tough job. It's this, it's this, it's this." And I say, I agree with
Mm-hmm.
you, but that's why you're a cop. Like, that's part of what comes with the job, is you've got to be held to a higher standard. I think if
Right.
you are a police
Right.
officer and you're going around trying to arrest other people and
Right.
hold other people accountable, you need to be above reproach. The best,
Good point.
do I think you need to be perfect? No, but you have gone to you have volunteered for a position that is walking around holding other people accountable. So you need to make sure your house
Yeah.
is as clean as you can make it if you're going to go around and holding other people accountable. I also think that we should treat
Very
them
good point.
better as well,
You know,
but I do think that those standards are high for a reason, and they should be high.
Mhm. Yeah, I think with that, since great point, by the way. I think the problem with the way we look at authority figures, and in this case, we're talking about law enforcement authority figures, is that I'm a math person. I love math, and to think of every single law enforcement person that I know out there that's actually law enforcement on the street has a weapon, and
Um,
so each one of them probably interacts with at least 50 to 100 people a day, right? There's at least 50 to 100 touch points a day, and each
Probably.
one of them have a weapon. So do the math. how many shootings are there then? Or how many times are they actually pulling out that weapon and hurting somebody with it?
Yeah.
Because if you think about how many potential, I mean, that's got to be in the millions daily, right?
Yeah, easily.
So a 0.001% is not a big number mathematically. Now, mind you, if you're that 0.001%er, then yeah, I can see why you're frustrated and had a bad day. But
Yeah.
for the most part, that's not the case, man. With as many weapons that are out there and as many times that they really can pull it out and hurt you with it, it ain't happening. So, this is one of those things that we only focus on how they treat us or align ourselves with. We really don't care how they treat everybody else. We only care about how they treat us or how or who we choose to align ourselves for whatever reason.
Right. Yeah, I'd agree. All right, so next one is and I love this one, man. Like I'm telling you, when I heard these, I immediately I loved a lot of them. Number 8, return a borrowed car with a full tank of gas. Once again, to me, that's
Amen.
a respect issue. You borrowed somebody's vehicle.
Amen.
They pay for the vehicle, they pay for the maintenance, for the upkeep. They were kind enough and generous enough to let you utilize their vehicle. You don't have to return it with a full tank of gas, but you should. And the reason why is that's your way of saying, you know what, thank you. You did something you didn't have to do. It's a respect thing. You're respecting the transaction here. This person was gracious enough to let you do something that they really didn't have to. And so instead of just saying thank you, return it with a full tank of gas. It's just your way of saying, hey, man, appreciate it.
Right. I do that religiously. If I even take my daughter's car just to the store, it's coming back full.
You want to? You want to use my truck for a little bit, or
what you do?
You might have to take a loan out for that one.
I should have seen that coming.
Yeah. Next one is play with passion or not at all. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And the way I read that is don't half-ass anything. If you're going to do it, do it. I mean, if it's worth doing, do it right. Like, I remember when I was a little kid, my mom used to teach me. I remember actually, I can think of a very specific instance where I still remember it to this day. We had a back patio when I was a kid. So we lived right there at Research Park, right there behind UCF, back when it was all woods. My backyard was basically this massive wooded area, and we had a back porch that was constantly getting dirty and stuff from storms or whatever. And my mother would make me go out there and sweep it off. And I didn't I didn't want to do it. Like, I hated that stupid thing. I didn't understand the purpose of it. I didn't even hang out there, but she wanted me to go out there and sweep it off. And I would go out there and I would half-ass sweep it. And I'd be like, okay, I'm done. And my mom, being who she is, she knew immediately, no, you're not. So she went out and looked, and it wasn't. And she's like, well, if you would have done it right the first time, you wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't make you go back out there 2 or 3 times. And what that taught me was, if it's worth doing right the first time. So go out there. Don't complain. Don't whine. Just do it, because you're going to end up doing it anyways. So go out there and just do it right. For me, the way that looks like when I talk to my kids, I have a saying with my kids, and anybody who's listening, feel free to use it if you want, because I'm positive I stole it from somebody else. I say, you work lazy, you work twice. I always tell my kids that. You work lazy, you work twice. Because I'll see my kids and I'll watch them do something lazy. Like, they'll try to throw something in the trash instead of just walking over there doing it, and they'll miss. I was like, well, now you got to get up and walk all the way over to pick it up. You work lazy, you work twice. And that's where I got that from, was my mom making me go out there and sweep that stupid ass porch until it was clean. And what I learned is now when she tells me to go out there and sweep the porch, you better believe my ass went out there and made sure I did it right the first time. And so that's, for me, play with passion or not at all. That's kind of how I see that. And when they say play, so the implication is sports, same concept. Right. If you're going to go out there and play sports, if you're going to go out there, commit your time to something, respect yourself and everybody else who dedicated their time out there as well, and play with some passion. If you're not willing to do that, or you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't be doing it in the first place.
Yeah, I love the historical nugget you threw in there of how you learned it, and I like the way that you said that. And I'm going to add to that. Where it bothers me? It bothers me when I go to someone's place of business and I can clearly feel that you don't like your job, or I can clearly feel the problems of your organization, or I can clearly feel or hear, worse, I hear your frustration about your place of employment or your management or your ownership. That's not my problem. I didn't come to your store or your place of business for that. And if you're gonna work, if you're gonna accept their money, then you better accept it with the kind of service that I want when I go there, because that's what you chose to do. I love what I do for a living, so I do it with passion. Um, but that was my choice, right? I could have done something that I didn't like, and I can easily complain to every customer that comes my way. But what good is that going to do me? That's not how I choose to live, and so it really kind of bothers me that when someone accepts a position in their life, that for whatever reason, if you had to accept that position because you're entry level, or you had to accept that position because you're paying your dues, or you had to accept that position because you messed up somewhere else, then that's on you. That's your responsibility. But trust me, if you do well, there's a lot of people that see you do that that may offer you an opportunity. Because when you are so special at what you do, there's always somebody that sees that and goes, man, if I had an employee like that, or if I had that person. So you'd be amazed at the opportunities some of you miss because you're walking around moping, acting like your job sucks. Well, then to those of us that could offer you an opportunity, I'm going to let you stay in that job, because I just don't see you working anywhere else with that kind of attitude or anything. You don't motivate me to want to help you. And now you just killed that business for me. I don't really want to go there. It's annoying. Um, that's just how I look at it. If you're gonna take somebody's paycheck, then do it with a certain flair, man. And you've seen those, right? You've seen those employees that
Of
are like,
course.
it could be like the janitor dude. And he's like, it's so happy and singing and, hey, how you doing? And they go that extra mile to be friendly, and you're like, man, that's a really cool dude right there, man.
Yep.
That was a really cool experience. I just really like that, man.
Yeah, I agree. Stand out for the right reasons. um, so the next one, number 10. When shaking hands, grip firmly and look them in the eye. Yeah, once again, to me, this goes into respect. It's a
Mm.
greeting. It's a way of saying I see you and I'm here. I'm present with you. Like it's the same thing as getting up. When you shake their hand, it's
Right.
just a sign of
Right.
respect. I'm respecting your time and you're respecting mine. You agree?
Dude, dude, yes. And I cannot stand a weak little limp little handshake. Dude, when I shake someone's hand, and it's like the way they hold your hand is just like this weird little way. It's like,
Will you kiss
dude,
my
you
hand?
just did not do that, man. Yeah, I just don't, man. And again, maybe we grew up in a machismo society. Okay, so what, man? It's not bad that some things are feminine and some things are masculine. It's just really not. I know
Right.
that a lot of you or a lot of us were being told that macho is always bad, but feminine is always good. No, sometimes macho is good and sometimes feminine is good. It goes both ways here, man. You
Yeah.
can't just only say that things like that. I mean, that's I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. I'm probably gonna get persecuted emails, but it's a man thing, you know what I mean? And you know what I like? I notice it when women do the firm handshake too, even they call it
Yeah.
like it's a man. Even they like, oh, my
Well, I
dad,
teach
they'll
my
give
daughters to shake hands
credits
like
like
that.
their father. They'll be like, yeah, I was raised by they'll be like, I was raised by my dad, or my dad always taught me. Like they'll say they get a sense of
Yep.
joy out of that. There's
I
nothing
teach my
wrong with
daughters
you
to
teaching your kids
shake
that.
like
Good
that.
job, Trinity. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. But
Um,
for some of you guys out there that you never learned that from your dad, and you shake like weird, like you don't even put your whole hand in there. You do that like little fingers in there. Don't do that. Learn how to shake a hand, bro.
next one. Don't let a wishbone grow where a backbone should be. Yeah, I think that one with the way I read that one is take a stand and put your money where your mouth is, right? Like do what you say you're going to do, kind of a thing. So I read that twofold. I read that as in stand up for yourself. Do what you say you're going to do. As opposed to just we all know that one person, right? We all have at least one person in our lives that's the I'm gonna person.
Right,
I used to get them all the time when I was
right.
like I'll call it with the tattoo stuff, right? When I got into the world of being tattooed, uh, I I came across so many I'm gonnas in my life. What I mean by that is there's a
Mhm.
ton of people who, oh, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this tattoo. They would sit there and tell me all these aspirations of tattoos, and I would see those people years later, and they don't have a single one. And I started seeing a trend, right? And they're all I call them the I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and they never do it, they never follow through with it. And you'll talk to them like 30 years later, and they, oh, I wish I would have done this. I would. Don't be that person. If you want to do something, if it means something to you, make it happen. Do what you got to do to
Yeah.
make it happen. That's how I read that one. Don't let a wishbone grow where your backbone should be.
Yeah, do the damn thing, man. Just do the damn thing. I mean, there's just so many talkers, man, that just don't do anything. And
Yeah.
I'd rather you do a thousand things and maybe accomplish one, but at least you did something, man. At least you
Yeah.
put some energy out there. You know what I mean? But if you're just sitting back and you're just wishful thinking, but you don't do action one, you're expecting it to come to you. What do you mean? You can't get mailbox money if you don't go out there and earn the mailbox money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason there's mailbox money is because you went and did something, and then you're able to go home and receive it.
Yeah.
And I may be talking finances in that statement, but I mean it for everything. You can't expect the world to come to your house to hug you. Come to your house to say I love you. You can't expect your partner to know your address before they even met you and come find you and go like, oh, I think you're the one I'm supposed to fall in love with and marry you. You can't. You got to go out there. You got to do something. You got to be present. You got to make some noise, man.
Yeah.
You got to live this life, man. You got to live this life.
I agree. Next one. If you need music on the beach, you're missing the point. I understand where they're coming from. Like, I get the sentiment here. I know that there's a million people who heard that who are like, well, I need to have my music. The point they're trying to make is nature's beautiful, man. Like, nature is its own music. I don't really feel this personally when I'm at the beach. I'm not a big beach guy. I do feel small when I'm at the beach. I do realize the magnitude of it and the majestic nature of the beach. It's not lost on me. I'm just not as it's just not my element. I feel that way when I'm in the mountains. Like every October when we take our mountain trip, when my wife and I were in Jackson Hole, like when I'm around the mountains, that's how I feel. Like I don't want music. Like I'll do things that I'll never do here. Like I'll just go sit on the porch. Like I don't do that here. It's like 90 degrees, man. But when I'm in the mountains, there's
Right.
many a times if they can't find me, they all know where I'm at. I'm sitting somewhere outside, just staring off at like the river or whatever. Like, so I get that sentiment, and that is, nature is its own kind of music, man. Be in the present, be in the now. Like, don't be distracted because music is great, but really, what music oftentimes
Yeah.
does is distracts you from what's in front of you, and sometimes you need that. I get it, but there are other times where you got to be present in the moment and look at what's in front of you, and I think that's kind of what that rule is trying to say.
Yeah. You know what? I can go either way on this because I don't have to have music at the beach, and I'm Latino, man, and I don't have to have it. And I say that because, man,
That's saying a lot.
it's hard. It's hard to pass a Latino group that's not playing music at the beach, brother. It's hard.
Yeah.
But I don't need it. I like it, but I don't need it.
Yeah.
I like the sights and sounds of where I'm at, wherever I'm at. I like the sights and sounds of it. And I agree with you. I think that when you like, let's say I'm just going to take like a Led Zeppelin song, right? I could take that same Led Zeppelin song, and if I put it at every place that I've ever been, well, then it changes the place. You know what I mean? Because now I'm in the song, right? Whereas,
Right.
some places have a soundtrack and some places could use a soundtrack. So I
Yeah.
do get that when you go to the beach and you hear people playing like the Jimmy Buffett kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like the beach
Right.
stuff. I get that because that kind of makes sense, right? It's like you added a soundtrack to the thing. I think I can go with that a lot more than if you take the same song you listen to in your house and you listen to while you wash your car, you listen to it while you're at the club, and you listen to it at the beach. Then to me, I don't get that one as much. But I do
Right.
get at putting a soundtrack. And I'm going to give you an example. You know what I really like doing? When I'm driving through like those southern states, like especially like Kentucky, I don't think I can drive through Kentucky without putting Kentucky bluegrass on. It's just a thing, dude. It's just a thing, And if I drive through the country, I like listening. And I'm not a country. I only like old style country, like Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash kind of country. Yet, when I'm in the country, I like trying to find that old station that'll play that kind of stuff.
It's immersion.
Yeah, I soundtrack to where I'm at, but it has to match the place that I'm at, if that makes sense to
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Like this trip that I was just on, I found these independent stations that was playing music that I never heard before. I've never heard any of the songs that I heard on these little independent radio stations, and I was just driving through Maryland, Delaware, and Pennsylvania, listening to this really cool small stations that clearly don't subscribe to the masses. I just thought that's really cool because it's a soundtrack to
Yeah.
where you're at. You know what I mean?
Right on. All right, the next one, number 13. Carry 2 handkerchiefs. The one in your back pocket is for you. The one in your breast pocket is for her. That feels dated to me, but I get the premise there. It feels dated in the sense of I don't think we're walking around with handkerchiefs anymore. And if I'm honest, if I give a woman a handkerchief and she
No.
uses it, I don't want it back. You can keep it or you can toss it. But I get the sentiment. So there's something that my wife is going to kill me for this one. Well, she never watches this stuff. So there's a
Oh,
thing out
boy.
there, and
Oh,
only
boy.
old school people will get this. Newer school people, it goes right over their head. Old school people will know exactly what I'm talking about. But my wife, on the other hand, is like, it's frustrating as hell. So if we're in a parking lot and we're walking to or from the store, or if we're on a sidewalk, I will always make an effort to make her walk on the inside.
Yeah, me
Meaning,
too.
if the cars are over here on the right, I'm walking on the right. I'm gonna let her be on the left. If we're on a sidewalk and the street is on the right, I'm on the right. I don't know why. That's just something I've
100%.
always done. Like, it's just what you do. Uh, my
Yep.
freaking wife, my wife will be on the right, and I'll start to go to the right, and she'll walk right with. Like, no, what are you doing, woman? Like, get your butt over there.
Yeah.
It means nothing to her at all. She just like, I don't care. I was like, but I do. Like, it's
Yeah.
principle. But I don't see a lot of people doing that these days. I don't even know if it's still talked about or not. But I believe in it. Like, I just, that's what I do. Like, I might not
Dude,
pull my wife's
that's so
chair out all the
funny.
time. I might not go all the way around and open the door for her all the time. Like, if it's convenient, I will, or if it's, but I will always try to make sure I walk on a certain side. There's another thing that my wife, a couple of things will happen. Like, something will happen. There's a couple instances that have taken place since I've known her, where like a friend or a family member has been in a time of need for something, and it's like 10 o'clock at night, and she's like getting her keys. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, I'm gonna go. I was like, no, you're not. Like, I'll go.
Yeah.
She's like, and her
We're
answer is
going.
always, her answer is always, well, I'm capable. I was like, I'm not saying you're not capable, but there's no way in hell I'm gonna let my wife go out there by herself at 10 o'clock at night to help a friend on the side of the road. It's just not going to happen. Like, you can argue
Right.
all you want, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I'm going. Like, there is no, and it. I think she loves it deep down, but she acts like she gets frustrated. But I think she loves that. And to me, that's another example of what
100%.
this means. Is and I'm speaking to the men right here. Like, for men, if you have a wife or a woman in your life, man, like, treat her like she's important, dude. Like, put her up on a pedestal a little bit. Like, I'm not saying you got to act like she's infallible. No, but take care of her. Like, that is your wife. That is your woman. Yeah. If you have 2 handkerchiefs, one in your back pocket, one for her, like, be there for her. That's all that really means to me, is be there for her. Treat her like she's important in your life. Treat her like it matters if she's there. Was that what you read from that as well?
Yeah, I think it's really funny because we've never really. I don't think we've ever talked about this, and I've had that same conversation with Dana. And sometimes, like, if she's in a conversation, like if we're busy talking, and I do it, and like I'm like, hey, get over here, or however I say it, she's like, oh.
Yeah, my wife hates that.
Always, it's like I'm bothering her to put her on the correct side, and I'm like, it's just my pet peeve, man. It's just I got to do it. But I got to be near the street. You got to be protected. I do it with my kids as well.
Yeah, same here.
They never give me grief about it, but Dana sure has given me grief about it.
Yes.
I guess the other thing is, by the way, the only thing I let Dana do at nighttime without me doing it with her is take the dog out. She can, I'll let her do that all day long. You want to walk the dog at midnight? You go right ahead.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. But I think that it's called being a gentleman, and I think that's one of those things that women. I'm sorry, but you can't teach it. That needs to be taught by our fathers. We need to know why we do it. It needs to come from a man's perspective, because when it comes from a woman's perspective, it feels like an obligation that's like that you can have a resentment about. But when it comes from your father, it gives you a sense of pride that says, you know what, my dad's a good man, I'm going to be a good man, kind of thing. Or my male mentor is a good person, I want to be like my male mentor. And that's why I say it has to come from the father, because I think it comes from a different place when you do that. You know what I mean? I don't know where you got it from, Trinity, how you got it, but clearly there must have been somebody that you looked up to, that you felt like, that could have been Clint Eastwood for all I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know who it was, because my mom doesn't even know about that stuff.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think it typically comes from like a male mentor that you look at that and you go like that's a man. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you could define that as that's how I want to be. That's how I want to live. And I agree with that. See, my dad is that guy. So I
Right.
didn't used to think as a little kid that I wanted to be uh how he is with my mom because I thought he was a little soft on her. You know what I mean? I thought she got over on him a lot. But as I grew up, I realized why, and I'm very appreciative to have a father like that taught me that kind of respect.
Right
And my
on.
dad still carries a handkerchief to this day, but I don't
That's
want his
awesome.
handkerchief, man, because I've seen what he does in his handkerchief.
Dude,
Don't
yeah,
hand that.
I'm good.
Don't. Uh.
All right, next one. This one's interesting. You marry the girl, you marry her family. I agree, but I
Amen.
think that obviously works both ways. But I know a lot of people have this
Yep.
idea of like, yo, I didn't marry them, I married you, which you're right, and to extent, if battle lines are drawn and it's us versus them, then yeah, it is your wife, but that rarely happens. So like I married into a family where she had two children previous to me. Those are my kids, like period. No ifs ands or buts. Those are my kids. Um, and with her mother, like I was literally just at her mom's house like a couple days ago, helping her with something. She just messaged me earlier today to help her with something. That's what I do. Like you're part of the
Mhm.
family. Like whether
Good.
whether we get along 100% or not, or it doesn't matter. Like, we just had a conversation literally a couple days ago, and she said something about her mom, or somebody made a comment. And I was like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, dude, she raised the person I love, dude. So like, I gotta respect her for that. Like,
Mm.
you gave birth to the person who I've dedicated my life to. Like, that comes with a certain amount of respect from me.
Right.
Period. Even if I don't agree with the things it doesn't matter. Like, you're still part of the family. Period. You agree?
Right. Yeah. You do. Yeah. You don't just marry their family. You marry their history.
Yeah.
I know there's some people out there that believe like, whatever happened before me no longer exists. It's only about what us and what we build together. No, man, that's not true. We are a sum of a product. I mean, there was a lot of things that have happened to get us to this point. And if you love each other, then you love the sum of that product. And so some of those products that you're going to come across may not be great, and some of them are questionable. But when you add them all together, look at what they accumulated, and so you have to respect that. Now, to what degree you involve yourself, that's on you. But they are part of who you both are, and the more you can be okay with that and stop trying to tear apart a person's history or their ties, the healthier I think it is.
Yeah, I'd agree. Next one, number 15. Be like a duck. Remain calm on the surface and paddle like crazy underneath. Yeah, I would agree with this. And what I mean by that, the way I interpret this, is even myself. There's many people who would say, "Oh man, you got it all together. Or, you're doing this, you're doing that." Like, well, okay, but in my head though, I'm thinking about every single scenario and how it could go right, how it could go wrong. I'm questioning if I did the right thing, if I did the wrong thing, could I do better?
Mhm.
Like my mind is running through all these million scenarios, no matter what I look like on the outside. So the way I read that is be more responsive and less reactive. Meaning, respond to situations, don't react to them. Remain calm, remain where you're at, but your mind is always going to be
Mhm.
running things. You agree?
Right. Yeah, I agree. And you know what it is? I don't want to see y'all's crazy. There's only one crazy that I accept, and that's Dana's crazy. I'll take Dana's crazy, you know what I mean? Because that's my baby. And, I mean, she could be as crazy as she wants to be. I love it even because it's her, you know what I mean? And I'll take just about anything from her. But I don't want to see the rest of y'all as crazy, so I don't want to see your crazy energy. I don't want all your I just don't want all that, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with that tremendously. Let your stress and your anxiety be your stress and your anxiety. Don't make all of our stress and anxiety. And some of you just are everywhere you go, you got to tell us about every little bit of stress and anxiety you're experiencing, and you want the whole room to now be all stressed out and anxiety ridden. And nah. I got my
All right.
own, like Trinity said, I got my own. I don't need it. I need it just.
Yeah, exactly. Next one. Experience the serenity of traveling alone. I have done this. I've had to go to conferences and things of that nature, as I know you go all over the place speaking. And I think what it's trying to imply here and I'll tell you what I've gotten from it, is being comfortable being by
Okay.
yourself, right? You
Yeah.
you gotta learn to be alone. If you're constantly needing other people around you in order to appreciate the situation, to have a good time, to feel complete,
Yeah.
that's a sign of, that, like, not to put a clinical word, but it's like codependence, man. Like, you don't need to have that. Like, learn how to stand up on your own 2 feet. Learn how to be comfortable being alone. Learn how to be comfortable with
Mm.
yourself, right? There's a lot of people who need others around them constantly to drown out that inner dialogue because you're not comfortable with yourself. So learn to love yourself, learn
Mhm.
to be on your own. That to me is how I read that, and the reason why I read it that way is because I have taken trips on my own, and it does give you a lot of time for introspective thought. It gives you a lot of time to think, and there's nobody there to distract you, and so you got to learn how to appreciate what's in front of you internally, as opposed to looking like, when I go to the mountains, I can look over to my wife and be like, man, look how beautiful that looks, and she's like, yeah, whatever. You don't have that person with you when you're on your own, so you got to be able to just look at it and be able to appreciate it, have that conversation with yourself. And I think that there is something that comes from all the introspective thought. I do. And so I think, to me, that's what they're trying to say with this one.
Yeah, I really like that one. I truly enjoy my alone time. I feel like I'm very present for not only my family but for those that need me out there. So my alone time is my alone time, and I'm comfortable with it. And you know what I really like about it? You make a lot of better decisions when you're comfortable being alone. At least I feel
Yeah.
like I do. I feel like I'm not making decisions based on loneliness. I'm never lonely. I can't even think of a time of being lonely other than when I was a young kid, and I was lonely in crowds. I was lonely like even with people. So
Right.
uh I haven't felt that since I was a little kid, to be honest with you. I don't ever need companionship. I don't ever need someone to have to be there with me. I'm not that person that needs to, hey, can you go with me? You have to, like can't go to the store unless someone goes with me, or I can't go to the bathroom unless somebody walks there with me. No, I'm good. I'll see you in a
Sure.
bit, you know. I never, I don't know. I kind of like it.
Right on. Next one. Number 17. Never be afraid to ask out the best looking girl in the room. Shoot your shot, man. But see, that's this. If I'm honest, this is where I struggle with uh, where we're at right now in society. Right, is because I'm going to try to tread carefully here, make sure I don't
Oh
get my
boy,
words
here we go.
misinterpreted. I don't want anybody to misinterpret where I'm coming from. So, from a principle perspective, I think that there's nothing wrong with shooting your shot. There's nothing wrong with saying to somebody, "Hey, like, I'm attracted to you," or whatever. In a respectful manner. I'm not trying to. You should go up to a girl and be like, "Hey, girl, let me hit that." No, I mean that's just disrespectful and rude. But there's nothing wrong with trying to talk to somebody and let them know your interest, right? And the problem with that, though, I think, is where we're at right now, and I've experienced this firsthand. Um, what is often considered harassment is really just the wrong guy saying the wrong thing. And what I mean by that is I've known many a women who three different dudes could all come up and say the exact same thing to her, but if only one of them she was interested in, and that's the only person she wanted the attention from, the other two guys are creeps. The third guy is so sweet. And they literally said the exact same thing. The only thing that separates them from being a creep from being, whatever, is she was attracted to him, right? And so I think that there's some give and take there, right? Because I think women want that man to go up and ask them out or whatever, but they don't realize that when you set that scenario up, then everybody who wants to is going to take their shot. Like, and you got to understand and appreciate that instead of looking at it as a negative thing. Because I saw somebody post yesterday. She posted that she can't. She'll wait in her car at the gas station until everybody leaves before she'll go inside because she doesn't want to get hit on. And it's like I'm not going to try to say that I understand what it's like to walk out the door constantly and be hit on the way that women are. But I've been, in my younger days when I was in much better shape doing my thing, I had plenty of attention, and I never once was like, oh my gosh. No, it made me feel good. Like, wow, I'm doing something right. People are thinking I'm attractive. Like, once again, I'm not talking about the people who are rude and disrespectful like that. That's just, those are outliers, man. Like that, we all agree that those people are idiots. But we're not talking about that. We're
Right.
just talking about attention, right? So this thing here says never be afraid
No.
to ask out the best looking girl in the room. I agree 100%, man. Shoot your shot. You never know, man. Like, shoot your shot, bro. But at the same token, if it gets rejected, it gets rejected. Move on with your day. Don't call her names. Don't get mad at her. Like, she doesn't have to be receptive to your shot, bro. Like, just, you shot your shot. It didn't go. Move on, man. But don't be afraid to take that shot. I agree.
Well, I'm so glad I took my shot. So
Okay.
I just, man, if I would have never took my shot, I would not have ever have thought Dana would be into me. So I'm glad I took that shot. I'm glad I was not that kind of shy. And I'm glad she took the shot, as well, so I was able to beat the hoop. But yeah, I agree, man. Sometimes you just got to take a chance, man. That wish that I don't like I shoulda, coulda, wouldas, man. I'm just not a I
Yep.
shoulda, coulda, woulda kind of
100%.
person, so I'm not into that. So if you saw if you're in that scenario and you see somebody that you're attracted to, you think is a good fit for you, then you got to go for it, man. There's no reason not to. You know what I mean? That could be the best person that you've ever met in your life, and then look, then you can have our situation. You know what I mean? Look,
Yep.
I'm married 29 years. You're married now how long?
Going on 8, I think.
8 years. I mean, that's pretty dang awesome, man. And you would have never known if somehow you wouldn't have opened your mouth or she wouldn't open her
Yeah.
mouth, you would never have been in that situation.
Yep.
And can you imagine? That's happened to people. That happens probably on the regular to some people. They just never allow themselves to open up, and they get passed by good people all day, and they're
Yep.
never gonna know it. They would have never known it. So nah, man, go for it.
Next one, number 18. This one's kind of a funny one, but I get the point. Never turn down a breath mint. I get it. It's a safe bet, man. If somebody's offering you a breath mint, they potentially could be trying to tell you something, or maybe you're unaware, or they could just be nice and just offering whatever. But I get the sentiment. Never turn down a breath mint, and that's just common sense, I would say. But what do you like? I've turned them down before, just because I don't really prefer breath mints, but I do my best to make sure I have good hygiene whenever I leave.
Yeah.
Next
Or
one.
if you're eating or drinking something that is not going to go good with spearmint
Yeah.
or peppermint,
Yeah.
that's the only time. But other than that, always, man.
Yeah.
First of all, I think more of you should offer. I think more of you should buy gum and buy breath mints and hand them out, because I think it's awesome. I
Yeah.
always look for that. If that's in my vicinity, I always ask for it. That's
Yeah.
the one thing I ask for. I mean, you might have French fries, and I'm not going to ask for your French fries. But if you have a breath mint or a piece of gum, I may ask you, can I have one?
Sure. It's just a safe bet, man. Next one.
Yeah.
So this one I know you're gonna love. I don't really agree with this one personally, but I get the sentiment and I agree with what they're trying to say. But you and I are gonna instantly have a divide on this one. But not like, don't get excited,
Uh-oh.
everybody who's listening. Everybody's listening, don't get excited. It's gonna be our kind of a disagreement, not an actual disagreement. A sport coat is worth 1,000 words. So basically they're trying to say is get dressed up for the occasion. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not going to go to like somebody's, funeral in like a tank top and shorts. It's not going to happen. I will get dressed up when I need to. But for those of you who've been paying attention to any of our shows, I went ahead and decided to have AFib and go to the hospital rather than wear a suit that day for the wedding. So
That's right. That's right. Hey, he did it on purpose.
That's right,
He
man.
chose to ride in an ambulance instead of coming to my daughter's wedding.
In a suit.
That's who Trinity is. Yep.
But I get the
Yeah,
sentiment
I
though.
think it goes back to the respecting it.
Yeah.
You dress for the occasion, man. You look. Sometimes you're gonna have to dress for an occasion that that you don't want. Some of you go to work and you want to make your work outfit more you, and I get that. But sometimes by doing that, you're taking away from what you're being paid to do. And at that moment, I'm not saying you're no longer you, but you're not being paid to just be you. You're paid to be you plus. And that plus means if there's a uniform, you're paid to wear that uniform the way it's intended to be worn. And the way I look at that is when you go to court, for some of you that I've seen you go to court and you wear like, I've seen people go to, dude, I used to consult a drug court program, right? And when I saw people come to a drug court with a beer shirt or a pot leaf shirt, it's like, dude, you're just asking that judge to judge you. You're asking them to say something. You know what you did. You know what you're doing when you do that. Whereas also as a drug and alcohol counselor for so many years, I love when a young person, when they would come in with a beer shirt or something or a pot shirt, and they and I would just like kind of smile, and go, really, and they knew, and they go, you know what, I was going to turn it inside out for you, because I knew that it was the wrong thing. And when they would verbalize how they felt like it was a sign of disrespect, and if I want, they would turn. I thought that was really cool. I said, no, it doesn't bother me. I said, just so you know, as long as you know that you gotta monitor your situation a little bit better, man. I mean, like you go to school, you behave, you speak a certain way, you dress a certain way. You go to work, you speak a certain way, you behave, you do dress a certain way. You're at home, you speak a certain way, you dress. I think you have to be mindful of where you're at. Those of you that are walking around saying, I'm just being me and I'm me everywhere, and if they don't appreciate me, then no, man, that's not the world doesn't adapt to you. You must adapt to the situations and the world. That just makes it more pleasant. Unless you want to be unpleasant. And trust me, we know who you are. There's so many of you that are just very, very unpleasant. You take that same annoying you and you bring it around us. And then now we got to deal with the annoying you. And then we hope for you to go back home so you can be back annoying to those people that have to deal with you, because we really don't have to.
Yeah, like I get the sentiment on this one. I get it. I for the most part I agree. However, I am that guy that I have pushed back before in certain things. Like I think that there's different levels to this. For
Yeah,
instance,
you do. Yeah, you
when I
do.
was when I was in high school, they had a rule one time. They tried to get me in trouble because I had a baseball hat on, and I pushed back, and I went to the superintendent and stuff, and I actually pushed and I won. So like I am that dude that will push back against those certain things. Like I will be the anti-establishment activist kind if I believe in something, and I'll push it. Um, you know, do I think that in every single situation that's appropriate? No, I don't. I think that that's a fine line. You got to use your better judgment. When in doubt, conform. But if you're,
Yeah.
but the other thing I would say too is only non-conform if you're willing to deal with the consequences. That's the big one. I think too many people don't want to conform to stuff, but then, as you said, they want everybody to bend to them, and that's the wrong mentality. That, as a matter of fact, that's the exact opposite of being an activist and nonconformist. A nonconformist, you want to not
Right.
conform. You want to like make the moment right. Um, so I think I get the sentiment. Overall, I agree. There are moments in my life where I have pushed back, and I've been in many of those moments. I've been victorious, and many of those moments, like I don't know how many things I've missed out on in my life because of, like, let's
Right.
say the tattoos, for instance. Right, I knew when I got visible
Right.
tattoos. I knew when I did that. The day it's not as bad now, but when I first got them done, 20 years ago, I knew at that moment that I'm signing off a
And
certain segment of the population that will never hire me,
right.
that will never take me serious, that
Right.
will never want to do business with me because of those. And I was okay to
Right.
accept that. And does that mean that
Right.
I don't miss that I didn't miss out on some great life changing opportunity? Maybe, I don't know. Like, but that was something I was willing to do, and I wasn't blaming the world for it. I think that's the big difference. Is if you're going to take those kinds of
Right.
decisions and those kinds of stances, then you have to understand that it's going to come potentially at a cost, and you got to be willing to pay that cost. Right. For example, I've never once gotten mad at a speeding ticket. Why? Because I'm speeding. Like I knew what I was doing. Like I broke the law. You got me. Like I'm gonna pay it and move on with my day. I'm not that person that's gonna get mad. Well, how come all these other people? Were you speeding? Yeah. Well, then shut up. Right. Like, if you're going to participate, then you got to understand that can come at a cost. And so when it comes to me with this one, yeah, like just understand where you're at, and there's certain ones that I think are non-negotiable, and other ones I think are negotiable, but you got to be willing to pay the price. That's all. That's the one where you and I kind of differ at times.
You know what? Right. Right. No, but before that, I've been all kinds of services, right? I've been to a bar mitzvah. I've been to a service at a mosque, at a Muslim mosque. I've been to Catholic services. I've been to Baptist services. I've been to all types of services, and I always do whatever I'm supposed to do. So if I have to wear yarmulke, if I have to clean a certain way prior to going in, if I have to take
Sure.
my shoes off, if I have to kneel, if I have to stand, whatever it is, I do it. I never felt like I lost myself or somehow uh, compromised who I am because I did it. I just felt like I was being respectful to the process or to the
Sure.
place. Um, and I think that's okay. I think so
Yeah,
many of us,
I agree.
unfortunately, feel like if we did that, then somehow we're giving in or losing a piece of ourselves. And let me tell you something, if you feel that way, then you're not really secure in where you're at. If you feel that by participating or looking or doing something that another group is doing or how they're doing it, then you're not really secure where you're at. You're more, it's more important to you to make your statement rather than to just go with the process that really is no sweat off your back. Now, here's the one that is one of my pet peeves and bothers me a lot. And we had the discussion. This is how we got in this discussion one time. I don't know if you remember when
Yeah, I
we're
remember.
talking about take your lid off when you know when they're playing the national anthem or something like that. You take your hat off. You stand, you take your hat off, you put your hand. You don't have to put your hand on your heart, but if you do, you do. But those things, to me, raised in a military family, they clearly mean something different than how some of you interpret that stuff. But for me, that means a lot. Now, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But please understand that that is a sign of respect thing to the process that is currently happening. Just like if I was in a church and they all stood, I'm not going to sit there sitting and going like, well, I don't believe in your God, so I'm just going to sit here. No, I'm going to stand with you. Same thing. They play the national anthem. They do that. Take your hat off because somebody's going to get upset. There's always that old man. And you always hear that old man go, lid off. They'll get upset. And they have a right to be upset because they take it very personal. Dude, my dad gets mad about if you display the flag wrong. You display a flag incorrectly. My dad just does not like that. There's rules to that American flag. And he does not like, and the thing is like, Dad, they don't teach everybody these rules. You were in the military. They taught you those rules. They don't teach everybody. They don't teach all these people the rules. You got to understand that. But no, he takes it very serious. So,
I went to my client's house one time and she had an American flag on the table. And I picked it up and I folded it for her. And I folded it the way it was supposed to be folded. Because I remember I was taught all that in Boy Scouts. But anyways, I digress. Next one. And this one actually, I really like this one a lot, actually. This one speaks to me personally, especially where I'm at in my life.
all right.
Try writing your own eulogy. Never stop revising. How do you want to be remembered? What kind of legacy are you leaving behind? How are you perceived by the people around you? How do people talk about you when you're no longer here? Be it you just left the room or be it you're dead. How do people talk about you? How are you remembered? Think about that.
I'm never going to die. Never going to die, man.
Yeah. Yeah. That one's a big one for me, especially as I get older.
I want to be remembered.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Next one. This one's kind of cool. Thank a veteran, then make it up to him. It's kind of cool. I do my best to thank people for their service when I found out they served. The only time I do feel weird sometimes because I have so many people who I knew that went to the armed forces. Look, man, I'm not trying to start anything with this, but I'm just we gotta have another reality to it, right? Like we gotta add to it. Like I'm not taking anything away, but I am going to add something to it. I have plenty of friends who were in the military who didn't want to be there, hated being there. One of them was like an accountant or something like that. Like, you didn't really serve, bro. Like, yeah, you were there. You hated every minute of it. You pushed papers in an office somewhere doing nothing, and you got paid for it. You got a grant for it. You got to see the world for it. So like, I think you were thanked for that. Like you weren't in combat. You didn't, you got a paper cut. You'll be all right. So like, I think that there is a mixture that we got to balance it out. We can't pretend like every single person is Rambo. We can't pretend like every single person who went to the military loved it, wanted to be there, is fighting for. No, some of them they wanted the $10,000 signing bonus. Some of them didn't have any money choices, and they went in to go and they served food to people. Thank you. But I'm not going to put you on the same level as a dude sitting there with a Purple Heart. I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be at the same level. I hear your point. I guess knowing that all those parts are necessary to make the machine run.
Yeah,
I'm not downgrading them. But I do know that whatever your MOS was, if they need you in a different MOS, you're going to be in a different MOS.
Sure.
And I think that's the big difference. And here's another difference. I think the time period then that you're talking about was the most lucky time period of all. it was in between all the conflicts,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Probably when you graduated high school, uh, you were part of a group that really did not have to go to any conflict. The only
Yeah.
conflict we had around that time
The Gulf War.
was like a 72-hour conflict by air. Yeah, it was the
Well, no, we had the
fastest conflict
I had the
ever.
Gulf War, the Operation Desert Storm.
But that's what I'm saying. It was a small, short conflict. It was very different compared
Yeah.
to a lot of the other, like the kids now, man. These guys are getting deployed 6 or 8 times.
Yeah, man.
So I don't care. I don't care if you're peeling potatoes all 6 or 8 times, dude. That's not. You can die peeling potatoes. And here's the other
Yeah.
thing: you can die in practice. In
Yeah. A lot of them do.
practice, I remember my father used to go out to the field. There was always people that died in the field. First of all, there's people that died at basic. There's people that committed suicide in basic. Then there's people that died in the field because there's always accidents, and you're dealing with big, heavy equipment, and you're dealing with rounds. Then you have to be deployed. So now you're dealing with all the shots they give you and all the stuff you can get out there. I mean, even the families when we would travel abroad, dude, they would pump us full up so many different injections. Who knows what they injected me with, man?
Agent
Because
Orange.
they just fill you. Yeah, they just fill you full of stuff,
Yeah.
and then you come back, and then like the people that do get deployed, and some of you didn't see combat, but you could have, and so you knew that risk was there. You just got lucky and fortunate that you didn't. So for all of you that ever served and did not get deployed, man, that's so awesome that you were able to do that. Lucky you. And good thing that you were able to get it, but there was no guarantee in that. So if I thank you for your service, I'm thanking you for the risk that you took, and
I'd agree with that.
and you did well in that risk. And then there's people like my father who was drafted, at 23 years old out of college, and he chose to stay in. He's a lifer. That is a different person. I think there's a big difference between a one rounder and a person that's a lifer. The people like my
Right.
father who chose to stay in to retire as a command sergeant major, that's a whole different breed of individual of service, man. So I'm
Yeah.
not trying to say that all of you will get the same respect as I look at my father and his type of service, because he dedicated his entire life to that. But thank you for whatever brief service you did do, because you still did more than most. You still offered
Did
up
more than I did.
more risk than most, and so thank you for that. I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah. So
Yeah. No,
that's
I'd
what
agree.
I'm saying when I
Yeah,
say
I think we're saying kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I give them, I'd still thank them, but I have
Right.
so many like really good
Right.
friends that I've known, and I hear the stories that they tell me, and it sounds
Yeah,
like
I
a bunch of
understand.
frat dudes. And I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
next one.
And yeah, some people have been blessed that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Next one. I like this one actually a lot too. I think that this is an example we need more of. Number 22. Eat lunch with the new kid. Yeah, man. It goes back to what we said at the top of the show. Like, be nice, dude. There's nothing wrong with being kind to people and welcoming. That new kid in this. If we're going to take it literally, the new kid, man, he's scared. He's overwhelmed. Doesn't know what's going on. Like he's trying to figure out, am I going to fit in? Are people going to like me? Am I going to get my butt kicked today? Like, so there's nothing wrong with being that welcoming person and just saying, hey, man, welcome. Like, it doesn't have to be. See, we live in a dog eat dog world. We all agree on that, but we don't have to. That's the big thing I want to get across. You don't have to. I'm raising my kids and I'm telling them all the world doesn't care about how you feel. It's a rough world out there. I'm telling them all, I'm raising them that way. But it doesn't mean it has to be. We can collectively decide to eat lunch with the new kid, man, and to not take it so literally, right? In your job, there's always that new person. There's always that kid, that person that just looks left out, right? I think you said it to me the other day about this recent shooter. He was invisible, nobody saw him. There's always somebody that just nobody sees. Yeah, I had them every place I've ever worked, every school I've ever attended. There's always been a couple.
Yeah.
There's always been a couple that just nobody sees, or they do see, and nobody's like, I'm not gonna hang out with that. So I'm not saying you gotta marry him or anything like that. But there's nothing wrong with being kind. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, how you doing? And look, let's just be honest here. If nothing else, just to make sure your name doesn't end up on a list, right? How about that? Let's make it selfish. Just so your name doesn't end up on a list, be nice to that person. But regardless, see them. Everybody deserves to be seen, dude. Like, you don't have to be best friends. You don't have to hang out on the weekend, but you don't have to be a rude asshole either. You can literally just be, hey, how you doing? How was your weekend? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Well, I'll talk to you later. be cordial with that person. To me, that's how I read this.
Yeah. And you know what? I really like this one because I was always the new kid. I mean, when you travel, when you're moving every 2 or 3 years, and change schools a lot, you're always the new kid. And so, uh, I think you also have to understand that you're the new kid, and you know what? You're not going to have uh, all the ties that other people have. They have all their stories and history and all that stuff. You don't have to show out for that. I think that I overplayed my hand a lot because of that. I mean, I think that's why I was overly aggressive. I think that's why I was overly demonstrative. I think that's why I was always, doing something really big, the wow factors and stuff, showing off or whatever. All it was all bullshit. You know what I mean? And the real thing is just be yourself, whether you're the new kid or whether you're not. Um, you know, uh, I think that when it comes to like the invisible, do these acts of violence towards others, man, it's just really sad that someone can feel so damn invisible and really be that invisible that nobody saw stuff like this happening and coming. You know what I mean? Because they're probably getting it at home, and then they're getting it at your place and your school and stuff, and then this is where we're at. We end up in a place and people got affected because somebody wasn't feeling embraced or seen or respected or whatever it
Yeah.
was. Now, look, I do believe in this is a dog eat dog world, and if you're the slowest animal, you're going to get eaten up, and I get it, man, and I accept that. I accept that.
Yeah.
So I teach my kids not to be, and I'm not going to be, but it doesn't mean I don't understand that my thinking may be wrong, or it's not that I don't think that maybe I could use a little bit more empathy for that kid lagging behind. I'm just not going to go back there and walk with them. But I will always see them and say hi to them and be present for them because I do empathize. I still think you need to stand up and you need to do a little bit. That's what I would encourage you. If anyone's out there listening to this or seeing this and you're feeling awkward and you're feeling alone and you're feeling different and you're feeling in a place of pain and you look at this kid that just did this shooting in Highland Park and in Illinois, and you're feeling, wow, I can relate to him, and I've thought about doing those things. You don't have to. You don't have to. That's not the way to do it. You know what I mean? I know that you're suffering and you're struggling, but there are better ways, and this moment will pass. I don't think there's. I think there's a lot of us that can relate to a part of our life where we felt that destructive either towards ourselves or towards others. But there's also many more of us that got past that day and we no longer feel that way. And I think
Yep.
that's what I would hope that you get one day. You just got to get to that day where you no longer feel that way. And it's coming. It's coming. You got to find your people. You got to get with your tribe. And it could be just one other person, man, but just connect with just one other person. The more people you're connected with, the less people you're going to do destruction to. So good luck with that. But that's what it makes me think of.
Yeah,
Right now.
no, I agree 100%. Next one. You've actually done this one. I don't typically do this very much because I don't do the preceding part, but I've heard you tell me you've actually done this one. After writing an angry email, read it carefully, then delete it. I think what this is trying to get at is essentially don't respond out of emotion, right? Like don't react out of anger and emotion, or
Yeah.
react to something. Think it out first and respond in an educated way. Respond in a thoughtful way, not just your emotional reaction. When it comes to emails
Yeah.
specifically, I don't really have a bad habit of that. I typically read them out multiple times before I send them. Mine were more along the lines of just outburst or aggression, things of that nature. So as I've gotten older, I've had to learn how to like think it through first before I go ahead and tell this person what I'm thinking. But I know you said you used to have a secretary that you would write an email and let her read it first and then delete it. So
Well, I don't take credit for that. That was her idea because she says, no, 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 no. You
you
get
still did it.
mean. You get mean. You can't. Yes, because you can't do that, Louis. So she goes, don't send it. Let me read it. And she would always comment. And it was like, damn, man, I really want to send it because I really want to hit them right now. And she'd be like, you just can't do that. And so thank you to Diana for teaching me that. Diana Reyes taught me that. And thank you for that because I use it even to this day in text messages. I'll sometimes type out a text message where I'm, punching somebody in the face and then I have to delete the whole dang thing because, I rethink it, go do something and then come back to it. But Yeah, it's
Sure.
a good lesson to learn, man. Don't sometimes your emotion is your emotion. It doesn't need to be shared. It needs to be understood. It needs to be processed. It does not need to be shared. Emotion
Yeah,
just needs to be respected.
I agree. Next one. So this one, I don't. I agree with this one only because I have the mom that I have. I'm not sure if this is universal with all moms. I know most of the moms I know it kind of fits, but I don't know. I'll see what your thoughts are. And if you're listening to this, and if you had a
Okay.
mom that was the same or different, feel free to comment and let us know. Ask your mom to play. She won't let you win. My mom would never let me win anything. My mom would absolutely make me earn every victory. Even my own kids now, when she plays Uno or Connect Four or whatever, she's trying to win. She will not let them win, and so I did not have a mother that let me win. I'm trying to think right now. My gut instinct tells me my wife would most likely let my kids win, but then I think about it and I think maybe she wouldn't. I don't know. Like I don't know. Are all moms?
No,
Because I want to
no.
feel that there's like these sweet moms out there that just wouldn't let. I don't know, but I don't know any of them personally. But I'm sure they're out there. What are your thoughts?
I think my mother is a cheater. She's a proud cheater. She comes from a long line of cheaters. There's no freaking way. I mean, my mom will cheat at games. So don't turn your back. She's proud about that. And as far as my wife competitiveness, where I see my wife's competitive, she really wants to beat me because she says I win at everything. So she really hates that I win at everything. But where she totally dominates everyone that comes over, at least tries to dominate everyone that comes over. We got that basketball game downstairs, that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
shot, whatever
yeah.
that basketball. She plays that game with everyone that comes and visits, dude. She'll challenge everybody, man. She just you can see
Duly
Dana's
noted.
competitive nature comes out, and she's like, I'm gonna get you, I'll beat you. Especially if she's been enjoying herself a little bit, more so, bro. She loves
That's
it,
funny.
man. And I love seeing that in her. I love seeing that competitiveness come out in her, to be honest with you. But yeah, I love beating Dana. I like how frustrated she gets
Sure.
when I beat her. I think it's funny. And I don't
All
mean
right.
beat her
Next,
like in beat her. I mean like
of course.
games beat her. Let me
Next one,
clarify.
number 25. We're almost to the end here, by the way. Number 25 is
Okay.
manners maketh the man. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, your manners, like, where were
Yeah.
you raised? Like,
Yeah.
to me, your manners signify your intent. They signify kind of who you're trying to present yourself as,
Oh,
and it's telling me what category to put you in. And so if you're not trying to be put in a bad category, then you need to come at me in a way that tells me that. So if you're coming at me and you don't have any manners, you're rude, you're disrespectful, then that's kind of where I'm going to put you. I'm going to put you in that place. I am going to judge you because we all do. Every human being on earth is only here because we've learned how to judge things, both good and bad. So I'm going to judge your character based upon the manners that you give me. Now, I'm going to leave a little bit of room in the fact that you might be just having a bad day. I'm going to allow for that to be there. Having said that, even if you're having a bad day, if you're taking it out on me, that also says something about you and your manners. So, yeah, I agree. The manners make it the man. What do you think?
yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Please and thank you. Those whenever someone, I don't care what age, whether they're young or old, and they still say yes, ma'am, yes, sir, stuff like that. It's to me, it just makes me feel really good about who they are. It makes me, it just instantly gives me a judgment upon them. It like forces me to judge them in a good way. And so I think that's a really good thing in a time where we can accidentally judge everybody incorrectly, right? Based on other factors.
Sure.
That little simple act of kindness and respect, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, please and thank you, it goes a long way to just making someone else smile that day. Uh, so please consider it. Consider it. It doesn't hurt you. And I don't care how old you are. It's not just for kids. I hate when people just think it's for kids. I think we need to mimic that behavior. We need to
Yeah,
do that behavior. I say yes
I
sir, no
agree.
sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am to this day. And my kids did not pick that up. I didn't force it upon them. Um, I can't say I regret that I did, but if I had to say, do I wish I would have? I wish I would have pushed that a little bit more,
There's a way to get that
because
same
I like it
mentality
when it's done to
also.
me.
Like you can still be
I'm sure,
genuine
but I
and,
don't.
and give off the
But
same vibe.
I'm sure. I just don't want to diminish it by saying that I'd rather them at least say it. I guess is
Sure.
what I'm saying.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? I don't want
Yeah.
to minimize the fact that by saying it, you don't have to put a lot of practice into it. It's just
Right.
natural. Yes or no, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Please and thank you.
All right, next one, number 26. I like this one. Give credit, take the blame. I gotta say, I feel. I mean, I could be wrong in my interpretation, but I feel like I've been pretty good at this one my whole life. I've never been one to have my ego try to fight others to try to be like the big, the alpha in the room kind of a thing. I think, and the only reason why I've been good at that is because I've been fortunate enough in my life that the influential people that I've been around have all been that kind of person. So they showed me from early on it's okay to be good at something and acknowledge that somebody else is good at something. So I never had to have that competitive slash jealous vibe kind of a thing. I've always just felt
Yeah.
confident, and I've been around other people who are also confident. So we've never felt the need to compete. Like it's never been only one at the top. It's always been like we're all at the top. Like like you're good at what you do. I'm good at what I do.
Right.
So for me, I feel like I've been blessed with the right people that I've always been able to give credit and take blame. I've always been able to say, yeah, I screwed that one up. So I'm thankful that I've been able to do that, and I've been surrounded by people who have done that. And I'm trying to do my best to facilitate that in my own children. Is like when my kids will do something, I'm always trying to remind them like what they did to contribute to it. Like, give credit, take blame, man. Like if you're good, people are just gonna know you're good. Like to
Yeah.
me, Michael Jordan's the best. I've never heard him say the words "I'm the best."
Mhm.
Never heard him say it, but everybody knows he is. And I can point out tons of videos of him saying how great Larry Bird was, and how great Magic Johnson was, and how great Kobe was. So like he's given credit, and I never once heard him tell me how good he is. So to me, I think that's indicative of if you're good, you're just good. You don't have to tell people you're good. But you should take the blame. You should humble yourself enough to see the mistakes or what you've done to contribute to a situation. And so yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. The I is a pet peeve of mine, so I like the we word a lot better. We as a
Yeah,
group, we as a unit, we as a team. I'm a big team player. I believe in that. You know what I mean? We all have our role, we all have a part, and we just got to play it. You know what I mean? And I love giving credit to somebody who did really well. I love praising somebody who beat me at something or rightfully so did something better than I did or just did it well. You know what I mean? I love congratulate. I think that the only things that I even comment, I think on Facebook really are happy birthdays and anniversaries and stuff like that. I just love celebrating other people's like little accomplishments. I think I just like that. I like that you're celebrating something. I like that you're accomplishing something, and I just want you to have an attaboy. I love giving attaboys.
yeah,
So yeah.
right on. Next one. Stand up to bullies and protect those bullied. Yeah, I agree with this one.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's
100%.
caveats to it. There's obviously circumstances or whatever, but as a general rule, I agree with this 100%. I don't like bullies. I don't
Yeah.
like seeing people pick on people smaller than them. And if I'm in a position to
That's right.
do so, I will step in and be like, "Hey, let's level the playing field here a little bit." That's not to say that I haven't been in situations in my life where I've been the bullier. I have been when I was littler, I was younger. I was definitely a bully as a kid. As I've
Hmm.
in my adolescent and early adulthood, I was aggressive, and I think for many people, they perceive that as bullying. I didn't feel personally that it was bullying. I just think I was an aggressive person that I didn't yet know how to manage that, and so that aggression came out as bullying. But it was really just me being passionate about things. Even to this day, there's many times where people will think I'm upset, and I'm just passionate. I'm just getting I'm getting hyped up. I'm not trying to be aggressive or bullying. That's just my nature. Um, so no, I agree. Rule of thumb, yes. Stand up to bullies and protect those bullied.
Dude, I still do that. To this point. I mean, when I see somebody preying upon somebody that I think is clearly at a disadvantage, I still may say something. And just like, they just need to back off. I don't think it's cool. Some of you like to exert whether it's your financial strength or your physical strength or whatever strength you're exerting upon somebody else for nothing. It's just bothersome. Now, if you're just being confident and then you're being bullied because you're strong, and because I've seen bullying go both ways now, right? Because
Yeah.
we're in a time where,
Yeah.
just because someone's larger, they're getting all the crap, or just because they have more money, they're getting all the crap. I mean, look, bullying goes both ways. And I think that the whole reason, and not to get political, but the whole reason I defended a certain political person uh, for these last several years is because I felt that that political person was being bullied, and I did not like it. Do I think that that person uh, do I think that that person also did some bullying? Yes, but that never gives you the right to also be bullied by other people. You know what I mean? And that's what I saw. I saw him being bullied, and then I saw him, supposedly bullying, or doing some things that could be considered bullying. But I definitely saw bullying towards him a lot more than I saw that person do, and that bothers me. And so I'll always defend. You know, uh, I don't care who it is. So I'll defend bullies that are I mean, people that are perceived bullies just because of one of those things, whether they're richer, larger, or more in power. I'll defend them too.
Yeah, I gotta second that. Um, uh, yeah. So to me, this is one of the things I think that I'm glad we're doing this list, and there's one thing I've noticed that the newer generations, and I say this anecdotally because I have kids and I've spoken to their friends or whatever, and principles, like a principle, right? Like something you stand by, regardless, even if it's not convenient.
Yeah.
I don't think they're as heavily pushed these days as they used to be. Um, and so for me, I think that's where I get a lot of flack with people is I'll say the name, dude. Like Trump is who it was. I was not a Trump guy. Didn't like him. Still don't know if I like him. I never met the dude, but I didn't see anything about his character or personality that I was too like enthusiastic about. However, um, I'm a man of principles, and my principle is I don't like people bullying or harassing or just being flat out mean to people. And what I saw was a lot of what he
Mhm.
was saying taken out of context, a lot of what he was saying
Yeah.
bent to fit a narrative that they wanted to, and just being just
Yeah.
mean, just nasty. And it bothered me. And it made me take a different look. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm a man of principle. I still don't agree with half the stuff that
Right.
comes out the dude's mouth, but he has the right to be who he is, man. Like, and it doesn't give you the right then to turn around and just be like extremely nasty. Like, even now, he hasn't even been president for like 2 years almost, and people are just really mean and nasty and wishing death to him. Like, whoa, dude, like, pump the brakes, man. And what sucks
Yeah.
is people in my life that I've known for years have looked at me and made comments to me about that in a really messed up kind of way. It made me like, really? Like, it's the principle. Like, you can't get outside of your own anger right now to see the bigger picture. Like, what you're doing is not okay.
Yeah.
Like, I know you feel justified, but it doesn't give you the right to just do that. Like, I don't care who you are, you shouldn't do those things, period. And I agree. Yes, he's been a bully as well. And I don't like it when he did it. But yeah, so I agree with the,
Right.
stand up to bullies and protect those bullied, no matter who they are. Because I think that's a big one. Like right now,
Mhm.
Elon Musk is being bullied by a lot of people, and the biggest crime he's ever done is overcome a mental deficit or a mental disorder, make the most money in the world, and put mankind back on the moon, and help change the green energy on the planet. That's all he's done, and yet he's like hated for reasons I'll never know. So yes, it does go
Hmm.
both ways, and I don't think people realize that enough. All right, so next one. You know what? I made fun of this one when I was a kid, but as I've gotten older, I see the power in it. So my stance has evolved over the years. Number 28. Write down your dreams. I'm a big proponent of this, man. I
Mm.
thought this was really stupid and silly when I was younger. They used to. I remember one of my school projects one time. I had to do a vision board, and I thought it was the dumbest thing I've ever done. I was like, "This is so stupid." I had to cut out like pictures and put. I thought it was dumb and ridiculous, and I did it just to get the grade. However, as I got older and I started reading more into the brain and psychology and how we all work and how we function, I started to realize, like, you know what, there's something to this. Like, when you actually write something down, it's real now. It's not just a thought. Like, you put an energy, it exists in the world. Somebody else can come and touch it, and look at it, and read it. Like, it has a certain amount of power to it. And then subconsciously, you're also, if you made a list, for instance, you're subconsciously kind of obligated to that list now. There's going to be a little part in your brain that always wants to address it and touch it. Like, so yeah, I think writing down your dreams is actually a really good thing. And I think it's not just some stupid, like, a hippie type thing to do. I think there's legit power in that.
Yeah, and I think some people do it subconsciously. You know what I mean? Like, you'll have, like when you're a kid, you'll have posters or you'll have things in your room a
Yeah.
certain way, but maybe you didn't ever think that you were going to attain that, but you kind of wanted what came with that. So, like, let's say you had, like I had, some rock posters up, and I had, a lot of drug paraphernalia kind of stuff up. I had to get high with it, my little help from my friends and stuff, the stupid stuff as well. But the stuff that I really, I did like what came with the rock star stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, the
Right.
freedom that
Who
that
didn't?
represented. So really what I was looking for was freedom. I was looking for the chance to say what you got to say. I wanted to be heard. So those are the things that I aspire to. So I think that even as kids, you have vision boards, but you don't know it's a vision board.
Yeah.
You haven't had that kooky therapist kind of explain it in that way. And once they explained it, you're like, oh, that's dorky. No, I don't want to do it. But it doesn't make it less useful. It's still useful. So put things around you that do kind of push what you want out of your life. That's still important to this day. Write it down. Again,
Yeah.
if you don't write it down, even that it's not going to happen. You don't believe in it. That's why you're not writing it down. Because if you wrote it down, then you'd have to do it, or then you actually say you were going to do it, and then you could not stand the failure of not accomplishing it. Make it realistic, but write it down, and do your own vision board however you want to. I like it. I like. I got a whiteboard, up here, right here next to me.
I've got I do it with my notes, and I've got like literally hundreds of them. So, all right, next one. We only got like
dude, I got thousands of notes on my phone.
Yeah. We got like 3 or 4 more. Next one. Always protect, number 29. Always protect your siblings, and then put in parentheses, and teammates. I'm gonna just simplify that.
Right on.
Always protect your people. Right, whoever your people are. Like, not all of us have siblings,
Yep.
not all of us are on a team. Your people, your friend. Like, the thing that I like. Once again, it's a principle that was somehow instilled in me. I don't know where I specifically got it from. I can't point to any one moment. I just know that there's always been something that I've done, and I've really, really, really respected in others when I've seen it done. One of my big things my entire life has always been loyalty. Loyalty really means a lot to me. And one of the ways that loyalty has been expressed over the years that I've seen is never, like, standing up for somebody who's not in the room. And what I mean by that is, like, I've had friends, and you're together, and if you're like a legit friend of mine and somebody else is talking smack about you, I'm going to say something. Like, I'm not going to just be like, oh, well, that's between them. No, man, like, you're my people. I'm going to be like, look, I hear you, but I'm going to defend you. Like, I'm going to defend my friend. They probably did this because of this. Or, like, I'm going to give you an out. I'm going to stand up for your person, even though you're not standing in front of me.
Right.
And I think that's a big deal to me. When I see that done by other people, I have a lot of respect, and that says a lot about that person to me. I've been in instances where the person's not in the room, or they're not there, and a couple people want to say something, and they're my friend. I will stand up and be like, well, I think you guys are misreading that. I'm not going to put them down. I'm not going to non-validate what their experience is, but I am going to stand up for my friend and say, hey, maybe you misread that. Maybe that person was having a bad day. I'm going to defend them somehow, some way. I'm not going to just say nothing, and I'm damn sure not going to throw them under the bus. But so always protect your siblings and teammates. I say that as protect your people. So if you've got a big family, that's your friends, that's your brothers, your sisters, that's your parents. If you got a big group of friends that you hang out with, those are your friends. If you're on a team, that's your teammate. Like, whoever your people is, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but that also means if you got to self-regulate. If you need to let your people know that they're wrong. Now in public, you can defend them, but in private, you better let them know that they're doing wrong.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Because I'll also get upset and says, don't put me in that situation again, man.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I don't like when you do that. You put me in a bad situation. I don't want it. So that's the other thing about that. And just remember, uh, I may not be your people in one circle, but then go another outer ring, and now I am your people. So you're the one that draws those lines and rings. Just remember that you draw the rings. You keep on going wider. I'm part of your people. And trust me, if there's aliens coming down from the sky, now all of a sudden I'm your people, right? So
Yeah.
it just depends on how you choose to define it today. Don't define it so small where I'm always on the opposite side of you. I don't want to always be on the opposite side of you. Actually, sometimes I need to be included, and so sometimes you need to look at that. So I think those are the kind of things that we all need to respect. That everyone on Earth can be our people as well. So, and the reason I'm saying that is because right now we are in some silos, and we're like, sometimes when I hear people, that means like you're the same color as me, you're the same culture as me. That's not always the case, though, is what I'm saying.
No,
Sometimes you need
I
to.
would agree.
There's a greater good here
Well, we're all
at
connected.
play. You know what I mean? But when it
Yeah,
comes,
we're all connected.
right. But when it comes down to that real tight circle, uh, like my brother, my children, my wife. Oh yeah, they can do
Of
no
course.
wrong to you. Now, privately, I'm gonna tell them. I'm gonna tell them.
Yeah, of course. Oh, I've had that situation. There's been times where my wife, with her own family, they've gotten into situations that I've absolutely like stuck up for her. But when we got home, and she's like, "I was right, right?" I was like, "Not really. I mean, you were kind of wrong on that one." But at the moment, no, man, that's my wife, dude. Like, I'm gonna stand up. But yeah, when we got home, I let her know, like, yeah, you probably should have handled that one a little bit differently. All right, we only got three more. The next one is number 30. I like this one. This one. I really struggled with this one when I was younger, man. I was younger and arrogant as hell, man. I really struggled with this one. Be confident
Okay.
and humble at the same time. Yeah, when I was younger, man, I was like 18, 19. I graduated with a 4.0. I was making 60 grand plus a year. I bought a house at 20. Like, you couldn't tell me anything. Like, nope, I know it all. And my humorous definitely got the better part of me. I had to learn the hard way. Like, definitely life did what life does, and it humbled me. And I guess I'm grateful that it did it at such an early age. So I was able to, from that
Yeah.
point moving forward, I always like, what was it Mike Tyson always says? Everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the face. Um,
Hmm.
I learned early on, man, in my life, not so fast. Like, I've been humbled very, very heavily by life many a time. And so I am always in
Yeah.
the back of my mind realizing, hopefully, maybe not. We'll see. And so I try to tell my kids that and other people that. Like, right now, I got a 17-year-old daughter who swears that she knows everything. And I keep trying, because I'm fully aware of what life can do. I keep trying to tell her, like, man, like, you better humble yourself before life does, because you will get humbled. It's just a matter of it's going to hurt or if it's going to just be a little nudge. But I promise you, humility's coming.
Yeah.
And so I love this. Be confident and
Yeah.
humble at the same time, because there's nothing wrong with being confident in who you are and what you bring to the table, and how you conduct yourself. But you can never get too big for your britches, man. Like, you got to have, that little part in your head that says, you still bleed like the rest of us. You still put your pant legs on one at a time. So
Yeah. That's a maturity thing, and I think that
yeah,
most of us go through a moment of that. You know, what I mean, learning that line
yeah,
of what is real confidence. What is fake confidence, and what is humility, and what is
yeah,
you know, uh, not accepting appreciation for what you've done, not being able to take positive feedback, because you got to be able to take positive feedback, and it's hard to learn how to do that um, as well. Positive self esteem allows you to take positive feedback, and then low self esteem makes you have to tell everybody how great you did. So it comes with maturity, and it comes with good mental health. So hopefully you keep around good mentors and good people around you, so that you're able to do it right. I've had good moments of this in my life. I've had bad moments of this in my life, but luckily, I feel it right now. I'm in a really good place. I think age has done a really good thing.
yeah.
But it just depends on how you age. Some people age poorly, and they get worse with age. In this particular type of statement, I think I've done a lot better with age. It's just, I know who I am. I know what I can do, what I can't do. Um, I know I'm really good at a lot of things, but I know I suck at so many others. And I just think it's funny, and you got to laugh at it. You got to be okay with
Sure.
it.
Right on. Next one. Um, yeah, as a parent, this one hits a little different as a parent. Number 31. Call and visit your parents often. They miss you. Um, yeah,
Yes.
I've been my mom my mom's literally here. Like, I don't know if you saw the water that came in. My mother's actually here. She's gonna go with me to go pick up my kids here in a little bit when we're off of here. My mom lives, I don't
Right
know,
on.
like 2 miles from me. Every Wednesday night we get together and we have a family dinner night where we all, we just come, we eat dinner together. It's not always like the most intimate of affairs, but it doesn't have to be. We're just physically here. We're acknowledging we're all still around and we eat together. I talk to my mom daily, for sure. I see my mom at least 3, 4 times a week, typically, even if it's just
That's
briefly.
cool.
My mom's important to me. Like, she's the only one in my entire life that stuck around. Let's see. There you go. She just commented. For those of you who are not watching, she commented on Facebook Live. But
That's awesome.
um, she's the only one that was around my entire life. Like, everybody else left at one point or another, or disappointed me or abandoned me. She's been there forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I don't want to picture life without her. Like, and so I want to do my best to make sure she knows that she's loved and appreciated, and I see her. And as a father now, as my kids are getting older, while on one hand I'm ecstatic and I love watching my children grow, it's the most amazing thing. They've taught me more than I'll
Right.
probably ever teach them. But at the same token, it's a double-edged sword because I'm also sad that they don't need me like they used to. Like, they used to be totally dependent upon me, and now, like, they don't need me as much. And so it's a weird feeling. It's sad because it's like, man, we were so, like, intertwined, but we're not intertwined like we once were. Logically, I'm fully aware that that's the natural progression of life. That's what I want them to do. But selfishly, yeah, it's like, dude, those are my babies, man. Like, they're not babies anymore. We have a 17-year-old that just moved out. We have a 20-something-year-old that's been out. And they don't come back as often. And I see that, like, it definitely affects my wife more, or differently. I see her sometimes. I can see her not. I don't know if she even realizes it, but she's sad. She's sad that, like, she doesn't get to see her kids as much. Like, they don't come around as much. They only call when they need something, and I get it. When you're in your late teens, early 20s, that's your transition phase of life. You're trying to put your stamp on the world. You're trying to just spread your wings. You just got out of prison. You're trying to live your life. Like, I get all that. Um, but the parents, they're not going to be here forever, dude. And they sacrificed a lot to give you what you needed to get you where you're at. No matter how good or bad you think that they were, if they're still in your life, they were good enough, man. They got you to where you're at. And it's hard, dude. It's hard to be a parent. It is not easy. There is no manual. Y'all stress us out. Like, it is not easy. But we stuck it through and we're here for you. And so, yeah, if you're out of the house, like, call your parents, man. Call them. Tell them you love them. Tell them you're thinking about them. Spend some
Yeah.
time with them if they're around. Like, they're not going to be here forever. And when they're gone, you're going to wish you did. And don't wait till you're, like, really old before you acknowledge that. The sooner you acknowledge that, the sooner you get to, like, act on it and live it. So that would be my thing. So, once again, before you comment, it is call and visit your parents often. They miss you.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more. I mean, that is so awesome, and I love what you just shared. I think that's awesome. Uh, I think that your mom is a very special person. I'm glad that you share that with her, and I'm glad you let her know that. And it sounds like it's not only you, because she says she had a 51-year-old that calls twice a day, and I know that's not
Yeah, my
you
sister.
because you're a youngin.
I'm the
So
baby. I'm
so
42.
Kathy, whatever you did right. I mean, you got multiple kids that are doing it, so that's a you thing. That's pretty awesome. Um, yeah, if you mimic this behavior, hopefully it happens for you. I think that's the biggest thing in this. Well, I mean, because one thing is that you call your mom and you visit them as often as you can, but the other thing is you're going to want that from your kids. But if you don't mimic that
Absolutely.
behavior, if you don't show that behavior, they're not gonna. They're gonna follow what you did more than likely. So you got to, unfortunately, it's a very short time where your kids are home. I mean, both our kids are gone now. Really. I mean, Zoe's here, but she's not. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't have to be here. She doesn't have to spend the night here. She's in college. She could stay other places, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's weird. It's weird where your kid. It's like, wow, man. All our lives we wanted kids, and we had them, and then now they're gone. I love that we all got together yesterday, even though we couldn't all get together for 4th of July. Dahlia and her husband John worked that day, but we got together yesterday and did our own 4th of July together, all of us. I love that they still want to do that. I love that they want to get together, but that's because we did that with our parents, and we still do that with our parents. So they do it too, and you got to mimic the behavior. People mimic the behavior. These kids are listening to you. They're watching what you do, not what you say. They're watching what you do. Anyway, yeah, that's a beautiful one.
Yeah. And then the last one, I think we're also going to like this one. The last one says, number 32, the healthiest, this is a long one, but the healthiest relationships are those where you're a team, where you respect, protect, and stand up for each other. Um, yeah, I'm going to take this to mean, your partner, your married, your life partner, your spouse,
Right.
any relationship is really what this could be referring to, but I'm going to take it as a marriage one. So the healthiest relationships are those where you're a team, where you respect, protect, and stand up for each other. I couldn't agree with that more, man. Like, it really, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and maybe we need to reiterate and do a whole show on it again, because we did a relationship series like a couple years ago. Um, it really, really
Yeah.
bothers me nowadays when I watch how accepted and encouraged it is to degrade your spouse, right? Like, it's so like I don't know why it's so acceptable to talk bad about your spouse constantly, about how they're not this and they're bad at that, or oh yeah, don't get married. Like we asked a couple weeks ago, we had a thing about relationships, and we said what makes a long lasting marriage, because you celebrated your 29 years of marriage, and the question was what makes
Hmm.
a marriage work. And two of the comments, the very first thing they said, even in a joking manner, was don't do it. And it was just like, wow, dude. And I know at least one of them were married. I don't know if the other one was. Um, Stop, dude. Like, I don't think you realize like how that works on a marriage, man. Like, it chips away at it. You might not
Yeah.
realize it because it's not this massive, huge crack in it, but it does, dude. It chips away. If nothing else, it gives you the mentality to not treasure it, and so you start to take it for granted and you chip away at it. The whole idea of being a team, you are a team, man. That's your teammate. You live or die as a
Yeah.
team. You're together. Your futures are intertwined. It is no you and me, it's us. Like, what are you going to let your spouse be homeless or something? Like, it doesn't. No. It's like that's your person. And that's all you got. And it says you respect, protect, and stand up for each other. Yeah, you got to respect your spouse and where they're coming from. You got to respect their perspective and what they think. They are your other half.
Hmm.
Meaning your thought isn't complete until you run it by them, kind of a thing, right? Like they are balancing you out. Like my wife, like I think certain things, and I'm a very analytical, logical person, and I swear I'm right all the time. But there's so many times, dude, when my wife chimes in with her thought, I'm just like, damn, dude, I did not think of it that way. Like, shit. Like, she's right. Like, I didn't even, it never
Hmm.
even occurred to me
Hmm.
to weigh what she just weighed. And that's the point. Like, that's why I have to respect her and where she comes from, because I chose her in my life. There's a billion people on this planet. I didn't have to, I chose
Yeah.
her. Why? Like, don't forget that you chose that one. Unless that's the very first person that you were forced into,
Yep.
most likely not. Most likely you chose that person. And so remember, you chose them for a reason. There's things that they had about them that you wanted in your life. Don't forget that. And then protect. I protect my wife, and I don't just protect her from the world. I try to also protect her from me. And what I mean by that is I get moody sometimes, I get snarky, I get pissy, and I try to protect her from that. Like, I try to like respond as opposed to react. I'm not perfect at it, but I've gotten better over the years, and I want to continue. That's something I actively pursue, is to try to protect her from everything, including me. So I want to protect her from the outside world. So when we're walking in the parking lot, you're damn right. I'm going to try to stand on the side of the road where the cars are coming, so like I can move her out of the way, or I'd rather you hit me. If somebody were to walk in this house and try to hurt us, I'm going to do what I got to do to end that threat, even if it means I get shot. But she's fine. I'm going to do that. Why? Because that's my family. That's my wife. I'm going to protect her.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm going to protect her from me. I'm going to protect her from the days where I'm having a bad day. Some days she'll come home and I'm like, you know what, babe? Like, I'm just not in a good mood today, man. I think I'm going to just be quiet for a little bit. Like, I'm going to protect her from my hostility and my aggression, because she deserves that. And then stand up for each other. Yeah, I'm gonna stand up for her. I'm gonna stand up for her when if the world is messing with her, if her friends are messing with her, if her job is messing with her. Even if she's messing with her, sometimes I have to step in and protect her from her. Sometimes I have to be like, hey man, like you're a little too hard on yourself. You're doing this. Whatever it takes. That's my role in her life, is to be the teammate, respect her, protect her, and stand up for each other. I don't think that is valued enough these days. I think we take each other for granted way too much. I think it's way too accepted and encouraged to trash each other and put down relationships. And yet we're all wanting it. So it's like, stop, dude. Like, just be honest. You want it and you want it to work. So let's make it work. Go ahead, man. This is our last one, by the way. This is number 32.
Yeah, no, it's really a drop the mic moment right there, man. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you said it all perfectly. The only thing I was going to even add to what you said was that we also protect each other, from ourselves. You know what I mean? And you hit that at the end, that I protect Dana from Dana. She protects me from me. Because we can be hard on ourselves, and sometimes we don't take care of ourselves, whether it be our health or otherwise. And we look out for each other. Look, if you're going to choose a partner in this life, that's it. Just be the partner. A partner is not something that those books that you read, that's what it is, or the movies that you watch, that's what it is, or that song that you hear, that's what it is. No, a partnership is exactly what you have, regardless of all that other shit, regardless if it matches or sounds or feels like all that other stuff you've ever experienced in life. No, a partnership is exactly what you have. Be the partner to your partner. And that means you got to be open, and you got to be honest, and you got to take your lumps, and you got to be wrong. You got to be willing to be wrong. And then if you're right, just be right. You don't need to throw that at them either. Just, okay. They know it. But most importantly, you got to take care of yourself so that you're healthy for them. And that's why we help each other. You know what I mean? I don't want Dana to be ill. If Dana's not well, then she's not going to be any good to herself, and definitely not going to be good to me and the kids. So I want her to be well. And sometimes I make her unwell. Sometimes she makes herself unwell. Sometimes the kids make her unwell. Sometimes, what she saw on TV makes her unwell, whatever it is. And there's a lot of that going on right now, guys and girls. There's a lot of stuff out there that's making our people unwell. Let them vent, let them talk. And I suck at the venting part, because I really wish Dana had some girlfriends that she could talk to about some stuff, because I'm really not that person, right? You know what I mean? I'm not as interested in all the little minutia conversation, right? And then she'll bring up, she goes, well, if Trinity would bring it up, you could talk to him about it. I go, well, yeah, it's different. We talk different, maybe sometimes I'd rather have this conversation with Trinity than you, but and those are the funny things that I think that we all go through in relationships, is that we're not always the perfect person to tell everything to. You need other people too. Don't put all the weight on your partner.
Yeah.
That's a little much. I like when Dana talks to our niece Danielle. I like when she talks to Dahlia or Zoe. I like when she talks to her mom. That takes some of the pressure off of me. And you know what? I'm not a big sharer like that. So I don't need that. Me, I just like the quiet time, and I like my headspace, and then I have my, my little things. We just do things differently. But I don't know. It's all good. These were good things, Trinity. It was a good surprise that you brought these things up. It ran the show, and it ran it long, but it ran it for how it needed to go. So
yeah.
Good job.
And I think there's another one floating around that's the women rules. So if I can find that one, maybe we'll cover that one as well, because it's from a woman's perspective, and we'll have to obviously have a guest on that one.
Trinity, how do you define woman?
An adult human female. It's pretty basic, man. Science is on my side on that one. Anyways, yeah, man. I don't really have anything else, man. Like I said, I with all the stuff that's happening right now in the world, I want to have a discussion, man. Let's just talk. Let's see what comes out of it, because I think a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are stressed right now. A lot of people are frustrated. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, man.
And we're acting like caged animals, man. And I think we need to just kind of take a moment. So, right on. Well, yeah. Unless you got anything else, man, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up and put the intro or the outro on here.
I'm good, man. I think I'm gonna go speak to my woman. and
Tell you love her.
I'm gonna go give her. I'm gonna come up behind her and give her a little kiss on the cheek to surprise her.
And
I'm gonna call my mom.
Yeah. Well, my mom's actually out in the living room. I get to go pick up my kids in a little bit. And then my wife yesterday, I bought her so there's these little custom, like door, the things that go in your rearview mirror, like smelly things. I don't know what they're called. They usually seem like Christmas trees, like they're flat cardboard that smells like something. I had a custom one. She has this, oh my God, dude, she has this stupid bunny. I don't understand. I don't think bunnies are like pets, like whatever. She loves this damn rabbit. And so I took a picture of this bunny of the rabbit and I put it on I made a custom scent thing. So she's got that hanging in her car now with a picture of her bunny. So I got some brownie points for that one, baby. I got brownie points for that one. Yeah. Anyways,
where did you do that? Where did you do that?
There's a website called Dangle, I think it is Dangle It or something. Yeah, if you say the website, it doesn't
I gotta
sound
do
good,
that for Zoe, like a picture of the puppy. They would love it with a picture of the puppy.
Yeah, if it's a good enough puppy, they can actually cut it out to where it fits the face. I didn't have that good of a picture, so they just screen printed it on. But it was just a cool idea. So whenever she's driving, she looks up, she gets to see her bunny, man. So she loved it, which was great. But yeah, I thought it was a cool idea.
Coming from you, I'm surprised it's not a picture of your ass. I'm very surprised it's not a picture of your ass that you did that, man. Because that's more Trinity.
I've given her that stuff. I give her socks with my face on them, so she loves them though. Hey, man, I'm a good gift giver. Anyways, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate you all for tuning in. Once again, this is Dope and Dharma. Today was Dharma Time, where we try to talk about philosophy and spirituality, things of that nature. We should be back on Friday talking about the political stuff that's happening. There's a lot of it to talk about. And of course, on Monday nights, we do drug and alcohol related stuff and family issues. If you guys have anything you want to talk about, by all means, reach out to us. If not, once again, you can follow us, Dope and Dharma, and that's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. You can follow us on social media. He is at the Dope Doctor. I am at the Dharma Guy. We are at Dope and Dharma. And that's all we got. So appreciate you guys. Now that you know better, do better. Peace.